Empty hearts and neon lights, they're playing with my mind. Gotta get out of here tonight. Oh, I wanna run off and fly. And I'll tell myself it's fine to be alone, just to find somewhere that finally feels like home. Oh, oh, oh. I hate all this overthinking. Oh, 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 oh. The more I swim, the more I'm sinking. Take me to a world of silver. No more heartbreaks, tears, painkillers. Take me somewhere unfamiliar. Bring me back to where we started out. Get me out of now, to where we started out. Get me out of now, to where we started out. La 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 la, oh, oh. Get me out of broken hearts and starting fights, turning truth to lies. Gotta get up, stop wasting time. Yeah, I wanna run off and fly. And I'll tell myself it's fine to be alone, just to find somewhere that finally feels like home. Oh, oh, oh. I hate all this overthinking. Oh, 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 oh. The more I swim, the more I'm sinking. Take me to a world of silver. No more heartbreaks, tears, painkillers. Take me somewhere unfamiliar. Bring me back to where we started out. Get me out of now, to where we started out. Get me out of now, to where we started out. Oh, no.
I'm walking alone, the streets are empty. The only thing I can see is my own silhouette. I'm getting stronger, step by step. The clock is ticking, but there's no time for regrets. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe, trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Yeah. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. I need you to listen, I need you to hear, and don't show protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the main action on the World Snooker Tour, and this time around we've got the best 12 players across the globe of snooker very much trying to battle it out who has been the best player this season. Remember, this is going to be on the 1 year list. We've seen the Players' Championship, we've seen Jiao take it away from everyone, including John Hawkins as he beat him in the final, but can we see another one of the players to try and take it all the way and potentially make it their own headlines? You know, every single one of these players has already managed to win a tournament earlier this season, but what's going to happen next? Is it going to be the battle of the Welsh Open champion Barry Hawkins, or it is going to be the battle of Un-Nooh, the winner of the previous tournament on the May calendar, World Open in 2026. So the reason why this match is going to be the perfect way to open the defense of the Tour Championship is because the two most recent winners of any sort of ranking events in snooker now are going to be Barry Hawkins, that by far is probably the biggest underdog to me when it comes to just trying to make it all the way to the top, because it is going to be very much against the very best there. But you know, Un-Nooh, who would have predicted potentially that he was the man to beat Gary Wilson, to beat Judd Trump, and to defeat Ronnie O'Sullivan in the final. So I feel like one of them is certainly going to try and write themselves into the last 8, meeting with Neil Robertson. And by the way, before we get into the match, it is going to take a little bit of time, and I've got absolutely no conviction that will help anybody, but I am going to try and explain the way the format works at the Tour Championship. So every single one of those matches is going to be played first to 10 frames, which means it can take up to 19 frames for you to finish the match, which means you can't play them all during the same session. Therefore, you need to spread it out across 2 sessions. Whether it was a good idea or bad idea, we're going to delve in that later on, into later stages. But for now, the way that the first round matches work, we've got Mark Williams against John Higgins, we've got Weezer against Chris Wakelin, we've got Barry Hawkins against Un-Nooh there, and then the fourth match is going to be Judd Trump against Mark Allen, playing alongside ourselves. 2 tables, played alongside each other. Trump, Allen, and Hawkins against Un-Nooh will finish tomorrow in the morning, afternoon I should say, at the same time. So they will start at 1 o'clock today, and then they will start at 1 o'clock tomorrow as well. And that's going to be throughout the whole tournament. I don't think they're going to change it for the quarterfinals, although they might. And then, of course, the semi-finals is going to be a little bit different, where you're going to have a Friday spread out for one semi-final, and then you'll have the Saturday for the second one as well. It is a little bit confusing, but I'll tell you what, sometimes you need to pay that little bit of price, because it is incredibly exciting to be finally seeing those long formatted matches to return. We are going to be waiting for the Crucible, but now we get a chance to see a little taste of what it's going to look like when the best players are going to find themselves at Sheffield. And by the way, still absolutely buzzing with the news of the Crucible being extended as the area for the World Championship to be hosting until 2045, and with a chance to continue with 5 further years. It will leave the arena in 2028 for a couple of years for the reconstruction, with up to 500 seats that you can add, which is going to be another great way to try and revolutionize the arena. Because, you know, you can say, we've been in China, we've been in Saudi, we've been in Tempodrome, we've been across the UK as well this season, but let's be honest with you, you know, that atmosphere of Crucible, whenever you make a fantastic break, whether it's a frame-winning match, whether it's you know, a fantastic opportunity for you to try and take it into the last 4, into the final, or when you make a 1-4-7 fantastically in the final of the Crucible. Just ask Mark Selby. There's nothing quite like the feeling when you do it, and you do it at the Crucible Arena. Either Halatisha or Uzi for a Lucky Barry, even Un-Nooh was absolutely amazing for the last one. This is the interesting thing there. I was actually thinking who I'm going to root for, but I am going to say this is going to be all down to whoever plays the best snooker for me I'll be very happy to see them face against Neil Robertson. It's a bit of an interesting draw there because I mentioned those 4 matches. So this one, the winner will play Neil Robertson. Then you've got Mark Allen against Judd Trump, the winner to play Shaun Murphy, which is incredible to me. The fact of, on the 1-year list, with all the finals that Trump has managed to reach, the incredible consistency of Murphy, that he's actually going to be higher seed than Trump on the 1-year list, is beyond belief for me because, I haven't actually thought about it, but Northern Ireland Open final for Trump, then he had a final of the UK Championship, then he had the final of the, the Players' Championship. He got himself into the semi-final appearance, then he managed to have so many more finals that he had lost out to German Master, won the German Master, I should say, against Shaun Murphy, and all of that. Murphy had a British Open final, which he managed to win, and then he managed to get himself into the Xi'an Grand Prix and the German Masters. So fair play to Shaun. He's managed to play really well so far in the tournament. But yeah, and the 2 other pairings, Weezer against Chris Wakelin, the winner will play Zhao Xington, and then you have the class of 92, John Higgins against Mark Williams, to play Mark Selby in the second round of the draw. Is Selby and Wilson playing in this tournament? So Selby is, Wilson isn't, because Wilson had a bit of a quiet season, probably just about as much as Selby, but Selby did manage to win one of those invitational events of the Champion of Champions, but he also managed to land himself a prize of 250,000 worth of prize money and ranking points, which means that he's certainly going to be competing and as one of the top 4 seeded players. And then it's going to be down to someone like Kyron Wilson to try and do it next year. Of course, Kyron I feel like he wasn't playing in the Players' Championship, and he certainly is not going to be playing in the Tour Championship either. So this is the warm-up, and now we're about to get to the action. And let's just talk briefly about the match as well. Let's start with Barry Hawkins, because his story has begun at the start of the Welsh Open campaign, where he had to be convinced by the other players, as we now welcome the Speed King, the Formula One, onto the arena. Un-Nooh is now back onto the business. The referee of the match is going to be Ben Williams. Let's now welcome the player that I was just about to mention. Had an incredible Welsh Open campaign, managed to beat some real giants of the sport, and now will be looking to try and get himself very much to the top of his game. Let's see if he's going to be able to do it though, because he's going to have some great opposition in Un-Nooh that himself, came into the World Open as a little bit of the unknown. And there was a little funny stat there, which I couldn't understand why they were showing it on the WST, because I remember clearly seeing that, to get into the Tour Championship, you need to score this, this, and that. And they were actually showing that Zhang Anda, Gary Wilson, Un-Nooh were the names that I can remember, needed to win that tournament. I remember just thinking that it's never going to happen. And then you think about it, Un-Nooh said, well, it's only going to happen if I try and make it. Fantastic performance against Gary Wilson. A little bit shaky against Trump, but managed to sort of utilize those pockets at the end. I do have to say that I retract my statement on them being pretty tough there. After watching a couple of those matches replays, I have to say some of those shots were quite tough, but on the other occasions, you do have to wonder how those buckets have allowed the pink from Un-Nooh, the black from Un-Nooh to drop, and of course numerous other situations as well. And then he's only managed to overcome a 4-0 deficit against O'Sullivan, get himself into the 14 frame, being 7-6 down, and win 4 frames on the bounce in the incredible fashion. Allen versus Trump on the other table. Yes, absolutely, but it's one of those things there. I genuinely feel like this is going to be closer, and I also feel like you have got no idea on who's going to come out with which part of their game. So I feel like either Barry or Un-Nooh are going to be able to find themselves playing really good snooker. And now as we welcome the players onto the table number 1, we're about to have a handshake, and it is going to be Un-Nooh to get us underway. So then the match, after a little bit of a delay, in a couple of minutes time, well, I say a little bit, it's been 6 minutes since the broadcasting have started, but it always takes you a little bit more time when you need to welcome the players from the 2 tables. Now then, the break-off shot is in, and it seems to be a really good one. Now the cue ball just lined up for the ball cushion. Barry's going to have a chance to, well, have a look first, and then decide if he wants to try go for that red into the left part of the table, because the problem for Barry is going to be, if he's going to be taking that red on, he needs to make sure that cue ball is going to be rolling all the way for the blue. And clearly, didn't have the angle or the opportunity to be taking that shot, but played a bad safety. And as much as he hasn't left anything easy, he has also left a chance away for Chipchai to be taking. Who's on tonight? It's going to be Weezer against Chris Wakelin, and then the other match is going to be, can't actually remember. But, yeah, Weezer against Chris Wakelin for me, because, once again, when Weezer's playing, it's going to be a great entertainment for the show, and Wakelin is going to be the one to announce himself as well. Brilliant shot there by Chipchai, taking the red into the right corner. Now, carefully just making sure he's going to be able to guide the green home as well. Get himself positioned for the red to be taken into the right part of the table right now. And just carefully find that cue ball to be positioned for the black into the left corner. Make sure that cue ball is going to bounce off the right side and utilize the black ball cushion very well. Could have done without having that cue ball to roll a couple of those inches there, because this time around it looks like it's going to be either straight on this black or actually having to force that cue ball to go all the way into the black ball cushion. So carefully making sure he nudges that cue ball, probably for the red now, into the right middle once again, simply for the reason of not having the clear-cut chance to try and take that cue ball closer to those reds. So the situation right now is going to be the way off. He's got 3 more reds. He takes the first one away. He's about to get himself a nice position on the blue as well, which certainly helps. And now it's going to be down to whether he wants to try and find that cue ball to go into the bunch, or it's going to be just playing for 2 more of those reds. And then try and position that cue ball nicely with the right part of the angle on the blue. And try and take it away into the bunch of the reds and the pink. But you could see this one coming there. A little bit shabby with the cueing. And 18-point score there. Chipchai is going to miss that red into the right corner. Once again giving that chance away to Barry. The problem is going to be slightly bigger there for Hawkins, because he's going to have an opportunity to be taking that cue ball close to the red, but at the same time, he needs to make sure that the white is going to slow down before reaching the black. Oh, he's trying to play that one. Well, he's probably got unlucky there, Barry, because he clearly couldn't see the black to be taken into the right corner, so he had to play the backspin shot for the left side of the table. It didn't work out. The red is going to stay out. And Chipchai is going to come back to the table with the red being over the right corner now. So a bit of a shaky start there from both of the players. But in the end, it's Chipchai that's going to have chance number 2 straight away. So try and carefully take the red away into the right part of the table. And then he's going to get himself lined up with the 19 points of the advantage. So does he have a chance to try and take that cue ball into the bunch now? It seems like he's going to be up for it, because he's going to have a red very, very close to the left corner. Ooh, he's got that cue ball touch to be very wrong there for him. And his only hope of trying to continue the break is going to be down to taking the red into the left part of the table. It looks like it's not really going to be the case, though. And, yeah, he needs that cue ball to be travelling all the way to the, well, probably ball cushion here, because he's not going to be able to cut the red in. Has he played this shot well enough? He seems to have taken that one a bit cautiously. Well, I'm not sure about that. As I say, that red is cuttable. He's going to be close. He's got the really nice position on the cue ball, but the red is still going to be close enough to the pocket, to my view. Hawkins, of course, is going to be very aware of the fact of trying to guide that cue ball past the black and making sure he gets that cue ball to be lined up on one of those colours. He got the red in. That's really sloppy, that, from Chipchai. Once again, we've seen a couple of those mistakes on sort of pot success from those reds. And now, Barry's about to play that nudge to the black. And it seems like it's still going to be just about fine to be taking the black into the left corner. But, I mean, once again, he's going to be positioned for the wrong side of those reds. So, I'm not even going to be surprised if he plays a safety shot, which he has done. And Barry's going to lead himself back onto his seat. So once again, just going to have to try and settle for another opportunity there. Making sure that cue ball is going to find a contact point with another red to be taking. And play that shot pretty well once again. So it gives the turn back to Barry here. And making sure he gets himself lined up with a red to be taking all the way to the top end of the table. Just a very careful shot there needed. And he's managed to play that one super well. And just realising the factor of making sure that cue ball is going to pass the yellow and the blue without touching either one of them, but still get himself in a straight line so that Chipchai can't see anything on the left side of the table, forcing him to try and take the red all the way into the right corner. But I'm very surprised with that short selection because he caught that one a little bit too thin, and he's landed that red to be perfectly over the pocket. So a bit of a, once again, weird shot for you to be taking on. And Barry can try and get that red's number to a minimum here. If he's going to be playing that cue ball to try and send it into those reds, well, he got that one horribly wrong. And he got the contact on the black, and the cue ball and the black has gone all over the table. In the end, it's a decent shot that he's played with great intent, but the execution not being there. Clearly played a bit of a bad joke with him. And 24 points of a difference is still going to be the advantage of Chipchai Un-Nooh. And Barry's played a bit of a bad shot here as well. Not sure why he needed to add any sort of spin on the cue ball. Should have just tried to leave it in behind the brown and the blue. Didn't have to do anything with it. Just stun the cue ball in the exact position on the black. Didn't want to do it. And as much as he leaves a little bit of a tighter angle for the right-hand side to be played with, at the same time, you feel like Chipchai is not going to have too many of those issues as he tries to go down and play that shot in. And look at that contact. Brilliant execution. Once again, the safety play of Chipchai has certainly improved recently. And this is going to be a real threat for him as he tries to get himself into that quarterfinal meeting with Neil Robertson. So another thing about the Tour Championship, these ones should be strictly ruled to 8 frames per the first session and 11 for the second session as well. Barry there nearly potting the black after having a firm contact with those reds. And making sure the cue ball is going to find the contact point of the yellow as well. So in the end, it is going to be a bit of a calm before the storm there, you would feel. But for how much longer before one of the players will be able to find themselves in a chance to try and take an attacking shot? And that's what you tried to do, but you got that red horribly wrong there in terms of the contact point. And now he needs to pray that the red doesn't go past the blue. And it seems like it's going to be the case there, as the crowd are very busy applauding the table number 1 throughout the majority of the first frame. Let's see what is going to be on the score sheet. Now Barry, is he going to try and take that red all the way into the right corner? Well, I'm very surprised with what's happening right now, because we desperately need to try and see one of these players to try and take control of the game, because, I mean, Barry could have taken that red into the middle. It clearly felt like the red was going to be possible into the right corner, but he got the blue on the way towards the corner pocket. And now he's left that red very much over the yellow pocket here for Chipchai to be taking. Now it's going to be down to try and do something with the yellow here as well. Being very careful in terms of his positioning on the cheapest of those colours. And now making sure it's going to be all down to getting that cue ball to bounce off the right side with some massive speed. And make sure he's going to be hugging the blue on the outside line and just get it lined up for the left part of the table. Well, I said hugging, they don't really mean hammer the blue home. And that was always going to result in a really bad positional shot. And it's now all going to be down to just 3 more points scored and 27 points of the advantage. I feel like Chipchai is not going to have any more of those opportunities for him to be taking those reds, unless he can see one to be taken into the right part of the table, and very carefully making sure that cue ball is going to bounce off the right side of the table and get himself lined up for a shot to try and get that cue ball to be positioned towards the left side of the table once again. And it seems like, once again, you know, we've had a bit of a safety battle on 3 of those occasions, and neither one of them have allowed either Barry or Chipchai to be taking a commanding lead in the frame, which would have made sure that he was going to lead either one of them away into the frame-winning opportunity. So Chipchai now comes back to the table. He's going to have a decent opportunity to be guiding those reds onto the black ball cushion, making sure the cue ball is going to be left nicely for the ball cushion as well. Can't quite reach the target point, but it still seems like the black being covered up, the pink and the blue being out of position, all of that is going to lead nicely towards Barry having a decent opportunity to try and play a safety shot rather than thinking about going for an aggressive approach. But, you know, when it comes to safety shots here, he's got 5 reds on the sort of lower end of the table, but beyond the black ball cushion. And then he's got a couple of those reds to try and avoid as well. This is going to be a bit of a tricky shot for him to play, and he hasn't managed to navigate his way through Now the cue ball is going to touch all of those reds, it would seem. And, well, what does it leave for Chipchaya here? It doesn't leave him an awful lot of options. But it seems like the one next to the left corner is going to be a decent chance. And can he try and find that red to be taken all the way towards the left edge of the table? And carefully taking that red shot, make sure the cue ball is going to be heading towards the bold colours. And he's managed to play that shot super well, getting himself lined up for, once again, a fourth time. It would seem that he's trying to win the frame here, dominated the frame in terms of the scoreline, but based on the break building skills, it certainly has been beyond sort of comfortable for him. And now just trying to take a couple more of those easy reds, positioning himself nicely for the pink. And, well, he's got a choice here of either trying to take the pink into the left corner or trying to take the blue along the right side rail and carefully position himself on the white to be taking the reds into the left part of the table. Whether it's going to be a shot into the left middle or the one into the left part of the table there, we have to wait and see. For now, it's going to be down 37 points of the advantage. Still, probably 67 at the table there as he manages to make one of those reds to disappear. And it seems like he's going to have the top end of that pink to be positioned on the cue ball, which means he can try and position the white for one of those three lower reds next to the black and can try and roll them along the black ball cushion and carefully nudge the cue ball towards it. Get himself lined up for a 44 points of a break. And, well, if he can try and bring the black into the open play, that will certainly help his chances. But he needs to realise that he needs those reds more than he needs the perfect positioning on either one of those colours. That seems to be the exact approach that he's taken, but that leaves him with a bit of a difficult black to be taken now, carefully towards the left corner. And this is going to be a bit of a test for the pockets as well, as we see those matches go in. But for now, it seems like it's getting a bit comfortable there for Chipchaya, which is a very difficult situation for Barry Hawkins because he hasn't shown any positives from his game so far. Getting to those two reds to disappear at the early stage of it didn't really help his cause. And now he's going to get himself positioned for probably the first frame loss there, as he now finds himself with 59 points of a difference. Only 51 at the table, and there's now another red is going to disappear because Chipchaya is not going to be able to take another black with it, so the break is going to end on the value of 33 there, unless he's able to just carefully roll this black in towards the middle, which he seems like he's taken the challenge of. Look at that brilliant piece of cueing there from Chipchaya. Really difficult to do that on the new cloth because of, as much as the fade not being there, you may not necessarily be used to the way the cue ball, the reds and the colours are going to be behaving themselves. But for now, he seems to be lined up pretty nicely here. And just making sure he carefully takes the pink into the right part of the table, gets himself positioned for the red to be taken to the left middle pocket as well. And then carefully finding that cue ball to go positioning onto the blue ball once again. And he can still try and make a significant break here after all the struggles that we've seen at the early start of it. The break of 80 points is going to be available if he makes a total clearance out of it. And now just carefully trying to find that yellow into the back of the pocket. Chipchaya still seems like he's going to be a fame favourite with 86% of the votes. And he's going to have 87 points that he scores right now after eliminating the green to be taken into its own pocket there. But Barry seems like he's certainly going to be disappointed, but he needs to make sure he's not even going to be down about the fact that he's lost the frame there, but he just needs to get his game into a B game and to a B class, I should say, because for now he seems like he's been absolutely destroyed there on the snooker table. Chipchaya, despite not playing his best game at the start of the frame, certainly managed to get himself lined up with a good finish to it, and a break of 67 points at the end is going to be the most that he can manage, and the foul of 6 points on the pink. So the cue ball couldn't find its way to go all the way for the black, but it's still going to be a really good break there from Chipchaya. A break of 67 points that gets him the opening frame win, and he's now going to lead Barry Hawkins by 1 frame to 0. So good start for him, obviously, but it's probably all going to be down to if he's going to try and maintain that pace to the match all the way there. By the way, thank you for everyone that has been tuning in. Feel free to like on the stream and subscribe to the channel. We are going to be back here on the session 2 of this match tomorrow, whatever happens, even if one of them is going to be able to win the match 8-0. course, not going to be the case for Barry Hawkins now. He's going to be trailing by 1-0 at the start of the match. And now Trump gets himself positioned quite nicely there for an opening frame win against Mark Cullen. 30 points clear, 35 at the table. And it seems like it is now going to be the battle for the last of those available reds to see on who's going to be the winner of the first encounter as well. Very interesting to see if there is going to be a response from Mark Cullen there that has been struggling for form badly. The highlight of the season being the triumph at the English Open. He's been obviously consistent enough for him to be here at the Tour Championship, but I have to say, a couple of semi-final appearances in the Northern Ireland Open, where he lost out to Judd Trump himself, actually. And a couple of meetings so far this season where Judd has managed to win by 6-4 and 6-2. In the meanwhile, Barry's about ready to break off here to start the second frame away. Just very carefully watching on what's going to be happening in front of him there and waiting for the heads up and the all good from the referee. Seems like the pink is still missing from the table. So once again, let's see if there has been any sort of update from Judd Trump against Mark Allen. And the update seems to be that Allen is for now dominating the safety play and not quite allowing Trump to get through to that last red, which for now is the only thing that he needs to find himself lined up very nicely for the frame win and get himself lined up for a really good start there as well, which is going to be exactly what he needs, really. Just a very careful shot there from Chipchai, making sure he gets that cue ball all the way across the table. Now, is he going to try and take this one on there into the right corner? Because as much as he has been looking for that trajectory line on the cue ball, let's see if the red is going to find the back of the pocket. Yes, he will. Brilliant shot there by Chipchai. And once again, I mean, this seems to be the form about him that he's managed to carry over from the World Open all the way now to this campaign at the Tour Championship. Just make sure he's going to be able to try and get a couple more of those points on the board. And very carefully playing that red into the right corner. Making sure he takes the blue as well. But now, it's all going to be down to what's going to happen here then. Is he going to be down to trying to find a couple more of those reds to be taking into the left or right part of the table? It seems like he's going to be happy with the cut that he's got into the left part of the corner here. And just about managing to find the target at the end of it. The red has wobbled into the pocket, but because of how wide the pocket was going to be at the start of that shot, it's always a bit of a difference when you take those shots along the black ball or the sort of left or right side cushions. You always have a little bit less of pocket to aim at, which means any contact with the jaws a lot more likely for you to end up with a disaster of a result. But for now, nothing seems to be a disaster for Chipchai, although he doesn't need that red to be over the pocket. And, well, I'm still waiting for confirmation, but he may have just played the unluckiest good shot there that he could possibly imagine, because he's managed to spread out those reds brilliantly well. He got himself lined up for the paint, but as one of those reds is gone and covered the right middle, now he might find himself in a little bit of trouble here. So let's see what the decision is going to come there from Chipchai. Is he going to try and take the green towards the green pocket right now, or is it going to be all down to taking that cue ball to a relatively safe area? And he's trying to take it the aggressive way. That seems to be the way that has got him into an opening frame lead. And now, once again, brilliantly taking that cue ball across the table, through the ball cushion, through the left side, and now positioning himself nicely for the red, which needs a little bit of cueing and positioning of that cue ball towards the black, and making sure he got himself a chance to try and take the most expensive colour into the left corner. Although he doesn't want to be straight on this one, and it seems like he's going to have to use that red next to the right middle here. Get himself lined up with 26 points of the advantage, carefully just nudging that red towards the right middle, where he's played that shot pretty badly to me. And yeah, he's going to be putting himself in loads of trouble there. No point to be taking that shot with he sort of played that one in no man's land, because it wasn't like he's trying to roll that red with no power. And it clearly wasn't like he was trying to, sort of get that cue ball to bounce away from the ball cushion massively. Oh, that is going to be a massive slice of luck there, because he got that red in and he got himself into a very difficult position on the brown. Not for the first time in the recent couple of weeks. He's going to have a fluke that could still have a massive correlation on the way that this frame is going to go. And you never quite know. It may be the pace setter for the match as well. But now Chaya seems to have a really good chance to be taking the blue into the left middle and carefully finding that cue ball to go all the way. Look at that. He seems like he's on fire and he can't miss there. Even when he does miss, the brown is going to bounce away from the left side of the left middle and find his way onto the green pocket at the same time. And now he's played a really tricky shot there from the blue, trying to get that cue ball into the bunch of reds to at least find one of them to spread out. And he's managed to do that. He's going to be positioning a little bit straight for this red, but he still should be fine, at least relatively, for him to find a positional shot on the blue. You feel like he's not really going to be settling for the pink here because of the angle that the cue ball is going to have to force its way through the pink. That's going to need a couple of cushions there for him to be using. But, I mean, he's going to be straight on the blue. Sometimes a little too much of the angle can be better than no angle at all. And he seems like he's going to have absolutely no choice. But it was going to happen at some point. As I say, Chaya was playing well, but he wasn't playing quite as well that he was worthy to be winning this frame from a single visit to the table. He's going to miss that pink. And, yeah, he was coming. It's been coming. It's been a break of 105 points combined there. If you combine the first and the second frames without answer from Barry Hawkins. But now the Hawk is going to find himself coming back to the table here. And what's it going to be for him? Has he got a plant? Has he got a red to be taken into the right part of the table? Or is he going to just settle for a safety shot? Seems like he's going to be playing it safe for now. But you're not really going to be able to outplay Un-Nooh if you're going to be sort of settling for all the safety shots there to be played. And in the meantime, he's going to have to try and take it step by step there. Once again, Chaya is going to have a chance to come back to the table. Just seems like he's getting a bit of an early run of the ball there, with no real chance to respond so far from Barry Hawkins' point of view. F will definitely win, feeling confident, go for it. Yeah, you feel like at this stage, if he's going to be down to Chaya, then he can try and use that. The factor of, making mistakes and getting away with it. But at some point, that certainly will stop at that point. And, it's all going to be down to Barry Hawkins trying to take those reds away. But for now, it seems like he's really struggling with those. He got a really good opportunity to be taking that red into the left part of the table. Didn't manage to do that. But at least this time around, it seems like he hasn't left anything easy away for Chaya. And a question about fashion, the poach on table are English ones. I mean, they should be, but as I say, I'll have to wait on the feedback from the experts because, as I say, I genuinely thought that the tables and the pockets at the World Open were really tight and narrow until I find out that everyone's been speaking about how wide they actually have been. So, 10-0, well, it's going to be a bit opportunistic there, but for now, it seems like it is going the way of 2-0. There's the advantage. Barry doesn't seem like he can string two shots together. Oh, he's managed to string one there, just about finding that little bit of open space to make sure that cue ball is going to get past the blue without touching it. And positioning himself quite nicely for the ball cushion at the same time. Yeah, for the first time in a couple of shots, that's for sure. Chaya is going to have himself in a little bit of danger and a little bit of trouble at the same time. So what's he going to be then? Is he going to have a chance to be taking that cue ball all the way towards the right part of the table? Because if that is the case, then he's going to find himself from trying to play the defensive game into an opportunity of trying to kill the frame away. Not able to do so though. And now surely Barry's not going to be able to miss this one, as much as it still needs to be taken care of. But as a professional, you're not going to get a better chance than that, especially from distance. Just carefully guide that red towards the left corner, and pretty much at this stage, make sure you're going to be able to take the pace away from the cue ball. Don't focus on anything else too much for now, and make sure he's going to be just slowing down before it reaches the ball colours. Exactly what happened now, and he's played that shot super well. So we're going to be down to try and take the brown away towards the yellow pocket now. Carefully trying to, well, I feel like at this stage, he needs to focus on the pot sixes a little bit more because he just played a brilliant positional play there. But It's all going to be down. I don't know why he wasn't counting those points there. He got a red and a brown combination in. So just carefully positioning himself for another red to be taken. That's going to free up a couple more of those options for Barry to be taking on. It seems like he is coming alive to an extent there. This is going to be a real test for him because as much as it is going to look like an easy position there, he's got a couple of those reds to be available, but at the same time, he's got a cluster of 2 reds right next to the pink spot, and he's got one more red to be taken along the left side cushion there, which at this stage looks like sometimes it could have been an easy put away, but certainly wouldn't look like that right now. And just carefully trying to find that red into the back of the left middle, making sure he plays that shot superbly well. Doesn't want to be straight on the black though, and seems like he's going to be able to get away at this occasion, but he needs to be stepping up there. For now, carefully finding that cue ball to go all the way and bounce from the right side. This is starting to get scary. Just one more frame. No, I wouldn't say it's starting to get scary there, because you're still not seeing realistically the prime form of Barry Hawkins, which sometimes is something that certainly should be scared of, but I feel like, you know, both of the players have not been playing well at all. And 1-1 for now seems like it's going to be the only scoreline that is going to be fair to either one of them. But he seems like he's very quietly going on about the business, which, to be fair, right now suggests that he may have 1 or 2 of those reds available from the cluster next to the pink spot, which is going to make his life a lot easier, as he now finds himself 11 points behind. And the first one is about to disappear, so that certainly is the case. That changes the complexion of things slightly. He still makes the red on the left side cushion very much relevant. But right now, it's going to be all down to having that red to disappear into the left part of the table. And then at that point, it's all going to be down to Barry Hawkins trying to get himself the position on the next colour as well. And then it should be game over, and 1 frame each at that point of the match. Just very carefully finding that cue ball to go all the way for the blue. Played a bad shot there, and needs to recover now because, well, bit of a self-inflicted fire there from Barry, because he got himself lined up in sort of no man's land on 3 colours, on 4 colours really. He could have taken the green, he could have taken the yellow, pink or blue there, all being in the same rectangle within themselves, but right now he's going to be forced to be taking the yellow on. But one issue creates another one, very much coming after it, because now he's going to be forced to be taking that cue ball along the very tight line, with the left side cushion being very much in close proximity. And now the rest shot is going to be very much a needed one that he needs to carefully navigate his way through, take that red away, and don't lose the cue ball whatever you do. That's exactly what he's done there. It's a bad shot, whatever you feel about it, because incredibly, even though Hawkins had such a good chance to find himself winning this frame, he's got 3 almighty shots to try and stay in that equation here. Very carefully rolling the black into the left corner is going to be the first one. Look at that though, brilliant. That's a brilliant recovery from Hawkins, but is he going to be good enough? The answer is, we'll have to wait and see in a couple of shots time, because the black was probably the most important shot for him to play for how badly he was positioned on it. But now he's got, well, he's going to be absolutely straight on this red to be taken along the side cushion. It's not quite on the cushion as well, which makes it a little bit more difficult. But he seems to have cued this one absolutely superbly well, missing out any contact with the jaws as well, which was incredible skill. Now just needs the cue ball to slow down before he's going to be positioned on the top end of the blue. He seems to have done that as well. So now finds himself with 52 points that he scores on the current break. And a fantastic line once again there on the cue ball to find himself on the yellow. Well, I'll tell you what, it certainly has been a really good recovery from Barry Hawkins. And now he's able to position himself for a 14 points of the advantage. And only needs the both colours. And he should be lined up with a really good finish to the second frame. Making sure he does the job right now and finishes it well. So very carefully, just making sure he doesn't do anything silly there. Getting that green to disappear. And we've seen a break of 67 points in the previous occasion there from Tripchaya. But certainly, we've seen a really good recovery from Barry Hawkins as well. And now, it's going to be the break of 61 points and counting. Could still make it a break of 79 points at the end. So Chipchaya was going for an 80 of a total clearance, but missed out on the pink and had to give 6 points of a foul shot. Now it's going to be Barry to have that massive jump on the cue ball, trying to position himself for that pink to be taken into the middle. Seems to really be getting the benefit of that cueing now, because he could not have judged that position on the cue ball any better. Although the same can't be said about the shot that he just played on the black. And he's just going to try and deliver a little bit of a trick shot. It's not going to matter about who's going to be the winner of the frame. He's just trying to cut this black carefully into the right part of the table, and just about going to keep that one away. So still, a really solid break there of 72 points, which leaves Barry Hawkins now very much back in the action. And it's now going to be Barry Hawkins 1, Un-Nooh 1 as well. So, seems like the only fair outcome. You know, both players have been far from their ideal form so far that they've shown. And I'll tell you what, interesting to see that Mark Cullen has actually taken that first frame away from Trump. Trump is going to have 5 points of the advantage in the second one, but it certainly was close. And I'll tell you how close he was. He was able to take that one by 8 points at the end, which clearly suggests that there were a couple of foul shots there. And he was able to finish with a break of 34 points to win that one and steal it away from Trump. Get himself lined up with an early positive start there. For now, thank you very much for everyone that has been tuning into the stream. Feel free to hit the like on the stream and subscribe to the channel. We are going to be back with a couple more of those shots that you can see. And, you know, Weezer against Chris Wakelin is certainly going to be a very interesting one of a showdown. My heart isn't strong. I'd rather go watch a movie. Well, this is the thing. Sometimes this is what sport is all about. And this is the beauty of it. It can be harsh, but it can be beautiful as well. So it's just going to be all down to what is it that you actually prefer there. And yeah, just very carefully making sure that the cue ball and those reds are going to be positioned perfectly there by the referee. But we still seem to have a relatively quick start there, because if you look at 38 minutes that have gone by, you know, you look at the way that we've got those positioned here, it seems like it's going to be all down to whoever's going to be able to get their number of mistakes to a minimum. And then at that point onwards, it's going to be anyone's game for the taking. For now, it's Barry that has got a little bit of the advantage. But remember, we said the same about Chipchaya after he was able to take the first frame away. Now Ben Williams is about to respot the pink and give the cue ball back to Chipchaya here. As in the meantime, just a quick glance on the table number 1. It still seems like it is a safety battle in between Trump and Mark Cullen. And Trump has got 5 points of the advantage with only one of those reds to be potted so far. So then, is it going to be a bit of a start there that Barry would have been hoping for right in the first frame of the encounter? Can he try and take it to a 2-1 of a lead there for his own perspective? It seems like he's going to be able to cue this one pretty well though, because Chipchaya hasn't played the break-off shot too well. And, well, Barry hasn't played his long shot attempt too well either. Now, what's he going to leave for Chipchaya? He seems like there is going to be a red positionally available there. I'm not sure if the line is going to allow the cue ball to find its way onto the black as well. Seems like he's going to be looking for it though. So let's see what's going to happen. And he certainly has been looking for it, but he wasn't able to find the cutting edge of that one. The good news for Chipchaya, as he certainly managed to slam the door as he was walking away there, because he managed to get those reds to spread out, but at the same time, he got the pink and the black to be in horrible position there. And as much as we have seen a little bit of Barry Hawkins reborn in the second frame there in terms of his cue ball control and the pot success, you know, there weren't too many of those situations where you had to be put to the test there. And now, what's it going to be? The red is about to disappear. Is he going to try and take the black away straight away? Well, this is going to be a shot or all or nothing there, really. Because I'm really surprised with his short selection, because it doesn't even feel like it's all or nothing there. Because even if Hawkins was to pot the black, what's it going to be then for him? Yes, he gives him the advantage to go for the next red, but the black is not going to be reappearing onto its own spot anyway. So let's have a look the way that he's going to get himself to try and pot the black first. He's managed to do that. Now, where the black is going to reappear, because if you're going to try and pot the red into the right part of the table, then you need to be using the backspin, which is not really going to be available to you right now. So it's all going to be down to that cue ball trying to get himself the position that he wants there. As for now, Ben Williams just trying to get that black as close as possible for those reds. And Hawkins is now going to have to find another opportunity. Yeah, he clearly is not going to fancy that red to be taking to the right. I meant another opportunity in terms of those colours, but, you know, even if he's able to pot the red away into the right part of the table, then what's it going to be for him? He's only going to be able to score one extra point with it. And with him being so straight, he needs to try and find another opportunity, but yeah, he really seems to be struggling there, Barry. He's trying to take the more difficult red anyway, and he's trying to power that one towards the right middle. So what's it going to be here with Chipchai? Once again, just doesn't seem like we are getting those frames to finish with the first encounter of those players. And Chipchai is going to respond to that as well. I mean, well, so many mistakes there from the winner of the Welsh and the World Open as well. And Barry's about to reappear, make his way back onto the table yet again. Carefully taking that red towards the yellow pocket. Make sure you're not going to be able to miss this one. And probably get himself lined up for green or brown. There's no need to be touching the yellow 4 now because of the cue not having the necessary angle that you would want to see. But at this stage, he's going to have a nice little invitation of just try and play a backwards shot there. Of taking one more red at the top end of the table. Well, he's decided against that. He could see the angle from the green to try and bounce that cue ball all the way to the lower end of the table here. But once again, a bit of a weird shot selection there from Barry, because he should have realised as much as he gets himself positioned for the red, the colour drought is going to be very much relevant after that shot is played. So, about to come back for an extension. And just try and make sure this red shot is going to be utilised to full extent here as well. So, yeah, just carefully taking that cue ball to go all the way into this red. And make sure he finds the target, but also he needs to be really deep into the cue ball in terms of the screw back. This is going to be nasty in terms of the cue ball can jump mightily across the air. He seems to have got really good purchase on it though. Look at that for a shot. Brilliant. By far the shot of the match so far by Barry Hawkins, because that was brilliant from the cueing. A rare shot that he had to reach with an extra extension there on the cue. And now positioning himself nicely for that green to be taken away into the left middle. So now just very carefully making sure the green finds its way back into the pocket. And once again there, well, I said that was the best shot that we've seen in this match to be played. And the green that he's going to miss is probably going to be one of the worst ones that we've seen. Although we certainly have seen a good sequence of those as well. And yeah, what's it going to be then? Just trying to carefully nudge the red towards the yellow pocket. Make sure the cue will find its way on towards the green. And yeah, just carefully finding his way onto the main point of the area. Yeah, Chipchai is going to have a really nice chance to try and really work for this one, because of, you know, the opportunity for him is only going to be 6 points behind. But at the same time, Barry's going to have a really good opportunity to try and, well, you thought, come back to the table with a sequence of good pots. That wasn't the case, and now it's all going to be down to Chipchai having a really good run of the ball, getting himself into the break of 7 points right now as it stands, and just making sure he's going to be working his way through the green right now. Just carefully nudge it towards the left middle. Make sure the cue ball finds the bottom of the black ball cushion. Got a really good purchase on it at the same time. And now, going to find his right position for the red to be taken into the right part of the table. Very carefully getting that cue ball to bounce off the right side of the table. And get himself positioned for the blue one more time. But this time, you see one of those shots, and this is where it can go wrong for you. Needing to play this blue very carefully in terms of the position that he got on it. In the end, he's going to be on the wrong side of that blue. And, well, he's trying to make that cue ball to travel a long way there. And in the end, it seems like it's worked out really well for him. He's going to have 3 points of the advantage. And the He's about to take another red away into the left corner. And he needs to be very careful with those type of shots though, because these are the ones that if you're not comfortable with your game, they are going to be a real threat for you to miss. And this is exactly what happened there. Right now, we've seen the break of 72, we've seen the break of 67, but whenever there is going to be any sort of problem or any sort of obstacle that either Hawkins or Chipchaya encounter, seem to struggle massively with having the ability to overcome those struggles. And it's now going to be just who gets the chance last, and he's going to have those reds to be all of them in the open play. For now, it's Barry, has got the upper hand. He's going to find himself 2 points down, but as he takes the black into the right corner, he's going to have 2 more reds, very much positioned to him, and still have a really good chance to be taking those reds all the way there. In relation to a bunch of the 3 more reds next to the pink spot, you feel like this is going to be something for him to consider, but probably later on there. He's played a really good shot there, trying to take the red away from the left side and put it closer to the middle. Really good shot there from Barry, and making sure he gets the position on the blue at the same time, and tries to find that cue ball to go all around the table, positioning himself nicely for the red. About to be taken into the left part of the table here. So then 27 points that he scores. About to take another red towards the left middle, and very carefully just nudging that one home. Make sure the bounce is going to be towards the black that he takes. And now gets himself lined up with 11 points of the advantage, which doesn't sound like a lot and doesn't seem like a lot, but still, he's going to have 1 more red after the black combination, so that could potentially give him 15 more points on top of that. And also, he's going to have a decent opportunity to be taking those reds all the way. But what's he done there? I mean, whatever you do, make sure you don't try and do the split to the back now, because as much as it's only going to be down to 8 points, still, it was such an important shot for him to be taking. And now that cue ball is going to find his way backwards and past all of those reds. And this is going to be far from ideal there from Barry Hawkins' point of view. And he's going to have to try and take the reds away from each other once again. Just a break of 23 points, 24 I should say. And the sequence of 67 still being available. It's not really going to help his case either. And the break of 24 points is going to end there for Barry Hawkins. And it gives the turn back to Chipchaya here. And trying to take a careful nudge towards the left part of the table. Seems to have left this one on a plate though. Yeah, whoever gets the first shot in seems to like they're going to be under a massive disadvantage there, because right now it's either Chipchaya or Hawkins that make a massive mistake as soon as they come back to the table. Just a matter of time. As I said before, until one of them is finally going to be able to take it all the way. Is he going to be this time though? Hawkins has got a good attempt of a long shot. He's taking that one. But is he going to have the position on the collar? He will have the pink. The problem is you'll have to be taking that one towards the yellow pocket with a long shot attempt. But the good news is this is going to be the shot for the frame. And even though he has been struggling before, he's not going to have those reds any easier than the position that he has got ahead of himself. So it's all going to be down to taking that pink into the yellow pocket. And he's managed to do so pretty well. Got that yellow to be... got the cue ball, I should say, to be further away from the red, slightly more than he would have liked to see at the end of it. But you should still see him take it over the line there. In terms of he's got 26 points of the advantage. He's about to take that cue ball and played for the blue. And just making sure he got the upper hand in terms of the position on the blue right now is going to allow him to be taking that cue ball all the way, whether he wants to be using the black ball cushion or not, towards another red to try and pop into the left part of the table. And yeah, just look at the scoreboard. Make sure you got enough points on the board. He's about to extend his lead to 33 points as he takes that blue into the right middle. So what's it going to be now then? 59 at the table as it stands. As he's about to take another red away into the left corner. Is he going to have the chance to try and take the pink with it? He certainly will. He's played a really nice shot one more time there, Hawkins. And now this is going to be the shot that surely will get him lined up for a frame ball in just one more shot time. He needs to be taking this pink very carefully towards the centre of the right middle. Not just because of the pot success, but also for the factor of if you take it too close to one of those pocket edges. He may force that cue ball to be taking it all the way without actually getting that good purchase on the positional play as well. He's now about to take the blue towards the right middle, get himself lined up for 61 points of the advantage. And make sure it's all going to be down to just taking a couple more of those reds, but at the same time, it is now going to be 45 points of the advantage, 43 at the table. And now Hawkins got himself lined up with 2 frames of the bounce there that he's able to win, it would seem. Just needs to be able to roll one of those reds towards the left corner along the left side cushion. He's able to do so. Now 46 points of the advantage. And Chipchar still dominating the pole there, which is a little bit weird there. The fact of him losing right now. And let's see if he's going to be very much looking to try and make his way back to the table. No, he won't. So 46 points, it clearly feels like looking for 3 snookers for him to try and find, even with the free ball. He's not going to be worth it. But now, it is going to be Barry Hawkins that takes the lead against Un-Nooh, and now leads by 2 frames to 1. 62 points in the end that he was able to score in the third frame. In total, it's going to be 142 for him, 150 for Chipchaya at the same time. But it's Barry that leads Chipchaya after the opening 3 frames by 2 frames to 1. So what's it going to be starting from this point onwards? I'll tell you what it feels like. It's going to be a very close battle, but right now, Hawkins has got a really nice chance to try and take this one all the way to a 3-1 lead, take it into 3 frames of the bounce that he's able to win, and then just try and return from the intermission with a better game that he's going to be able to show there to the fans, to himself, and get the results to be sorted at the same time for him. So make sure that, by the way, Trump is still getting himself, getting his hands dirty in terms of his really trying to grind it out and go really the long way for him to be winning the second frame there. We've just finished the third frame in the match with Barry Hawkins against Un-Nooh, and Trump and Mark Cullen are still battling away for the second frame, which was, once again, another great selection and another great reason for this match to be chosen. There's always going to be a great pace to it. Whether there's going to be a good entertainment for the fans, we'll have to wait and see, but so far, certainly not been too shabby in that aspect either. And, well, certainly it has been a little bit shabby recently for Chipchaya, though, because he needs to be finding himself back to the table a lot more frequently. For now, he seems like he's really going to be struggling with that aspect of his game. And about to give the turn back to Barry Hawkins here, to be sending that cue ball to go all the way towards the left-hand side of those reds. As Trump is still looking to try and finally get that second frame one in his favour and get it back to 1 frame each there. Hawkins with a bit of a shaky break off, but gets a really nice touch of the brown and cannons that cue ball to go all the way to the bowl cushion. So very carefully making sure that cue ball is going to find itself with just about the right amount of power. Is he able to do so? Yes, he is. Look at that for a shot from Chipchaya. Brilliant execution in terms of the way that he's able to position that cue ball perfectly in behind the brown, despite when it looked like he was actually the one to be under a little bit of pressure after Hawkins managed to get that cannon of the same brown, by the way, and get the cue ball position very much in behind of it. So the white's about to be cannoned towards the right side, making sure the cue ball is going to stop before it reaches those reds. In terms of not having too much power, of course, you don't want it to stop completely before touching those reds, because that would be a foul shot and 4 points to your opponent. But ultimately, it could be a chance given away as well. And talking about a chance given away, Hawkins managed to execute his way out of that snooker pretty nicely. The same can't be said about Chipchaya, though. He seems like he was very eager to try and take that red away towards the right side cushion. Now it seems like Barry's going to have an opportunity to be taking the same red away towards the right corner. And it's all going to be down to make sure the cue ball is going to miss the contact point with those reds. Otherwise, you'll find himself in a very difficult position at the same time. Well, it may not be the worst outcome after all of that. Although it may be, because Barry ideally right now wants to try and find his way towards the yellow. He's managed to get the red in, but now he got that cue ball to be right in the mix of those reds, and didn't want to pop the yellow at the same time. Seems like it is getting out of hand slightly there for Barry. But in the end, he's able to achieve the outcome that he would have been looking for anyway. So give the turn back to Jucha once again here. And get himself lined up for another shot with the safety aspect of it being there. But at the same time, just making sure the cue ball is going to find his way back home, which was the most important part of the task. He's able to do so, and now Barry's going to be able to examine that red right next to the left corner. It seems like he's going to have a little bit of a disappointed face as he walks away from it, which means he's going to have to try and cut this one in there. As much as it is going to be close to the pocket, it's still going to be missable if you hit the wrong side of it, which makes this shot pretty much impossible to be played with too much of the power. Ooh, he nearly managed to fluke that one in with the contact of the cue ball. In the end, the red is going to stay out after all of that. And Chip Choi is about to come back to the table for one more time there, it would seem. Is he going to try and use those reds further away from the cue ball as a potential contact point? It was a good shot that he's played. Managed to get to 4 of those reds into the open play. And still not really losing anything in terms of the positional play net. So this is now going to be the perfect chance for Chip Choi. Now, can he try and finally take it all the way there? For now, it's going to be all down to his IQ play, because he just needs to be wary of his surroundings and the way that he needs to be taking those blacks in a very specific sequence, in terms of he had to be taking that red away from the left corner because of the black not being potable into the left corner. So you need to be keeping that cue ball from the left side of the table so that you're going to be able to pot the black onto the right part of the corner of the table. So once again, finds himself 15 points clear. Carefully taking the red to the left corner right now. And positioning himself for the black. That's going to be the way that this break is going to go there. And he's unlikely, I'm not going to say it's impossible, but he's unlikely to run himself out of position here. So for now, it's going to be all down to focus on the pot success here. Make sure you got enough of a lead so that you can try and focus on something else, another aspect of the game. But for now, just try and use it as a one in probably the entire session of a chance for you to be taking this frame to go your way. He's managed to take all the 4 easy reds away, about to take the 4th black away as well, and needed to take that cue ball slightly further away and up the table in relation to a couple more of those reds, and very carefully trying to find that cue ball to bounce away from the black ball cushion yet again, although he didn't really want that cue ball to be underneath the black now. This is first little bit of a slip up. Probably needs the pink here to come to his rescue. And he's trying to just do it purely on the cue power. And it seems like he's played a really good shot there. You know, he seems to have had his eyes on only one side of the table for the left corner of it. But at the same time, he was always going to have a chance to be taking another red towards the right part of the table as well. So then what's it going to be? Carefully nudging the red to be taken towards the right part of the table. 40 points of the advantage. Chip Choi is about to extend his lead to 47 points there, and make it the 3rd highest break achieved in the entire match there, despite the previous 3 of those frames already being over. And once again, it seems like he's able to make the most out of the simple play, because another great shot that he's had with loads of backspin, making sure he doesn't lose touch of the cue ball. And of course, that has to give credit to the previous shot that he's played, because he needed to be positioned very specifically on the black, because he could not have been aiming that cue ball to go down the table, because that could have sort of compromised the way of that cue ball traveling by catching one of those reds. In the end, that wasn't the case, and it was only one of those aspects that he had to take into his mind. He's about to make it 7 reds and 7 blacks as well. Make it a 56 points of a sequence. About to extend it to 64 there, you would seem, as the red disappears into the right part of the table. And the black is about to follow his path as well. So this time around, he should have a little bit of the angle to try and find that cue ball to be positioned for either one of those 2 reds to be taken into the left middle. And yeah, he seems like he's not going to be too convinced by the positional play that he has managed to find himself with. He's still going to be only 2 shots away from winning this frame here, but right now he needs to be just getting himself over the line, and ideally doing that with a century break as well will certainly help, even though it is going to be after the intermission. Still, you want to make sure you get those chances in there when you can, because as I said, he's not going to get the better chance than the one that he had right here because of, the pure way that he was able to start the break with two of those reds basically to be over the pocket. He's had a really good position on the black as well to start with, and then he never seems to have looked backwards from that point onwards. And a break of 80 points is certainly going to be a nice proof of that as well, to make it the highest break of the match. And now only 4 shots away from making a century break as another red disappears into the left middle. So he needs to be taking the pink for a couple more of those shots if he wants to. He can always try and stay on the black if he feels like that's going to be the right way forward for him. And the only one of those 14 reds that he had available, very much since that opening red was spotted there by Barry Hawkins, the only one of those 14 reds that wasn't in the ideal condition is going to be still by the right side cushion there. Very close to the right corner of the table as well. So he could just try and roll that one. There's not going to be a real need to be taking that red away from the cushion. But right now, just one more shot after the red. And it's going to be a century in the making there for Chipchai, the king of centuries. And the Spit King is about to announce himself to the world here for sure, because it's now going to be the perfect break of 103 points. Still trying to make it the most out of it. He's been using all the blacks, and I feel like he's only used the pink once there, because he can do the calculations on this one, because he's on a break of 138 for now. Yeah, he could have been making a perfect break of 139 there, to be fair, apart from taking the pink once. So he genuinely has managed to take 13 reds with 12 blacks, and with 1 pink as well. He's not going to be able to take it to a total clearance. And in the end, it is going to be that red to stay out away from the right corner. So then, it is Un-Nooh that finds his way to come back. And the draw of 2 frames each is going to become a reality. Barry Hawkins finding himself losing the opening frame. Managed to come back with having 2 shaky frames to be won there in the second and third frames of the encounter, before leaving out that opportunity away for Un-Nooh that the player from Thailand was able to execute massively well and get himself lined up with a century break to finish the first mini session away. So then, as now we got the action on the other table to be restarted, so a little bit of an overview. I feel like there's not really a lot to say, apart from feel free to leave the like on the stream, subscribe to the channel, but on a serious point of view, horrible standard of game so far. You can say there was but a century, there was a break of 72, 67 points, but, any player on the professional tour should have been able to make a century break realistically, and I feel like Chipchai is going to be able to stick to that mentality as well. He needs to improve his game. The good thing for him is that Barry Hawkins needs to improve his game as well, and both of them have to do it in pretty much a similar sort of outcome there. So, as we now see the break-off to be made in the match of Mark Cullen and Judd Trump. The third frame is about to begin, so we may as well keep an eye on that one. And if you've got any questions in the chat, I'm more than happy to answer those ones for you. For now, it's Cullen that has got a really good opportunity to be taking his red count to a start. And he's managed to do that. So now gets himself in with opportunity. Once again, very quick resolution to those opening 4 frames in the match of Un-Nooh against Barry Hawkins, and in the same time, we've only seen 2 of those frames to be finished in the match with Mark Cullen against Judd Trump. So Alan now has got a really nice variety of those reds at the lower end of the table to try and take that cue ball all the way. But from, once again, coming back on Chipchai's point of view there, it was really important for him to make sure he wasn't going to be 3-1 down, because the best way for you to try and exploit the factor of his game being so great that if he gets those chances in, he's always going to be a threat for him to try and finish those off as well. Now, it needs to be down to if it's going to be a really good opportunity or not. Well, it remains to be seen. For now, just take it a step by step, and you should be able to get yourself lined up with a decent scoreline for now, because you're not going to be able to win the match in the first session here. So it's all going to be down to damage limitation here at the point where he finds himself a couple of frames behind. And now, of course, after the intermission, he should be able to try and find himself once again ever since the first frame. The man on top, making sure he doesn't let go of that gap until the end of the first session and get himself into a 5-3 of a lead, which you feel like it would have been probably a fair outcome. I genuinely thought this match was going to finish 4-all after the first session, so we'll have to wait and see if that is going to be the case. For now, Alan is about to exploit another black there to disappear into the right corner. So very carefully making sure to be taking that red into the right part of the table as well. Make sure he's going to be able to get the position on that one more red here. As, yes, want to look at the stats on how Trump has actually managed to find himself, despite winning and dominating so many of those frames, he's actually finding himself to be losing every single one of them. So lost 42 to 56 in the second frame, and now finds himself 27 points behind there as well. Thanks for the glass table. Yeah, there's not really a lot to say, as I say. It's been a really quick start to this match. First 4 frames to be played, and well, Alan just had a really bad mess on the black. So this is going to give a potential chance away. Trump has been struggling to find his form, and he certainly didn't have any consistency basis on that, but it may actually be the best thing for him. You know, if you look at the way that the previous 2 frames have gone, it seems like he gets the first chance in, he gets himself to score 50 or 40 points, he's unable to take it all the way there. You know, if you maybe he's going to be able to switch the style of play here, give the first chance away to Alan. He clearly wasn't able to take it, and now Trump is going to try and his own luck in relation to the position of those reds, although it doesn't seem like he's going to be able to get far with this one. And because if you take this red into the right middle, you need to be powering that cue ball into those reds. Well, this is now going to be a really interesting way of playing those shots here for Trump, because he can try and position himself for one more red to be taken, but ideally he wants to be sending that cue ball into the reds now. Yeah, that was always going to happen, to be fair. I feel like he caught himself in 2 minds there, and he didn't have the angle on the black to try and separate those reds away, and he hasn't done that. He scored 16 points. He finds himself 11 points behind, and he's still going to have 8 of those reds very much available in the open play. Yeah, these are the chances that he needs to be getting the most out of if he wants to be very much the dominant force until the end point of that match. But for now, just finds himself in a bit of a spot of bother. Is he going to be able to just try and find that cue ball to go all the way towards the black ball cushion? Seems to be walking around the table for a long time there, and just carefully taking that cue ball away and into the left side part of the table, making sure he gets that cue ball to be tucked in nicely for the ball cushion, and now positioned nicely for that cue ball to be taken all the way. So is he going to be taking the reds towards the right side part of the table as well? It seems like that's not really going to be the case here. And yeah, that's what he's tried. A little bit of a cross double. Make sure that cue ball is going to find its way all the way to the end point of it. And now very carefully, just trying to find the point where the cue ball is going to be not quite stuck in between those reds, but you feel like there is going to be a bit of a room for him to be taking that cue ball to try and leave it on towards the black ball cushion. But of course, that's going to be down to Trump. Point in the making. Seems like he's decided not to be doing that for now, and just try and take that cue ball to be taken all the way to the top end of the table, and yeah, take on that one very carefully onto the edge, and gives a turn back to Trump once again. So there you go. It's probably why we have seen 4 frames to be finished on table 2, and only 2 of those in that table number 1 there. Alan still struggling a little bit to try and find that cutting edge, which would have allowed him to be winning those frames with a single visit to the table. And in the end, Trump will probably settle for just winning those frames at all, because for now, it seems like he's not able to do so at this point at all. So Trump now is going to find himself in that position where it's going to be a stalemate here for a while, so there's not really going to be any point just rolling those cue ball back and forwards. And yeah, I feel like there is potentially going to be a re-rack coming. But, you know, is Alan going to be willing to be conceding 11 points of the advantage? You feel like it's not really going to matter at all, but at the same time, it's going to be better than nothing there for him. So clearly it's going to be his call to be made. And at the same time, I feel like Trump is not really going to be forcing a re-rack, because 11 points here with 8 reds to be available is going to be all down to just who gets the first chance in, not even down to who's going to be able to exploit it better. And for now, trying to force Trump to be taking that red away from the bold cushion and leave the cue ball to be positioned onto it. So Trump is going to have a little bit of a thinking about it, because it was a smart shot by Alan, to be fair, because usually it would be such a risky shot to be taking on, because he could have left the red to the right corner, but able to exploit the black positioning really nicely to get that one to be in the way of the red. And now just trying to take a very careful nudge towards that red on the bold cushion, but he seems to have played the shot horribly wrong. And now Alan is going to have a really good chance to be taking that red into the green pocket. Yeah, just Trump just feeling that this might be the match where he does need 2 sessions to try and get really far in this encounter. And well, I mean, I say that, Alan just missed an absolute, I'm not going to say it was an absolute sitter, but it was a really good chance there that he misses, somehow overcutting the red into the green pocket. But it looks like it's the only thing that he could not have possibly have done. You know, missing the red by undercutting it was probably something that you could get away with in terms of the mental point of view, but overcutting that one, it was a lot more difficult for you to be doing. And now Trump is going to be forcing that cue ball to go all the way, try and get himself the position on the blue. And it seems like at the end of it, he doesn't have anything apart from an extra point there that he scores. So looking at those reds at the lower end of the table as well, and probably just getting a snooker in behind the paint. But once again, a stalemate doesn't seem to get any better. And, you know, we started to have a look at table 1 at the start of the intermission there, but I do have a feeling that we won't have the end to the 3rd frame. And at the same time, we will already have Barry Hawkins and Un-Nooh to be walking away onto the arena and try and get themselves very much back into the action. So now it's still going to be Alan to be thinking about the way to be getting those reds to be positioned away from the cue ball. Seems to have done that with one of them at least. And you're only going to be down to 6 more to try and do the same thing there. And then it's all going to be down to positioning the cue ball as far away as possible from the danger zone. And the good news for Trump is that he's going to be the first player to try and do that. Trying to find that cue ball to go all the way in behind the yellow. Managed to play that shot pretty well. Now Alan is going to be forced to be taking a bit of a difficult route there, you know, because as much as it is such a large area for him to be playing the cue ball into those reds, he still needs to be careful. He judges the pace pretty well of it, because if he was to push one of those reds to be taken all the way towards the left corner, then potentially it could have been a bit of a different story there for him. In the meantime, Trump is going to be very carefully nudging that cue ball away from the left side cushion. Get that one away from Bulk. And at the same time, Alan is going to be coming back to, once again, a bit of a safety battle here. But the worst thing is, the pink is going to be blocking from a couple of those reds to be positioned further away from the main bunch, which means, you know, either one of the players will have to try and do it with the only 2 reds that they have got available ahead of themselves. So it is going to be positioned down to Trump now. After a bit of a bad shot from Mark Cullen, is he going to be able to take this one into the corner? No, he won't. And once again, the story of the match so far, Trump just not being able to save any one of those opportunities, overcut the red by a mile. And now Alan is going to be approaching the table with great intent of getting himself lined up with a 3-0 of a lead. And just needs to cue this one well and be lined up with... he doesn't even need to be playing this one all the way for the blue. Just try and get that cue ball to be alongside the black, and then he should get himself into a nice sequence of the reds to be available. And already has got 11 points of the advantage as well. So this is going to look very nice for him. And yeah, just for this one. As I say, I would expect Alan to be taking this one away there. Just needs to play a bit of a good shot here right now, because if he's going to be able to send the cue ball away into those reds, then it's all going to be down to positioning himself nicely for the next red. And then, yeah, the position should be straightforward from that point onwards. For now, another red, carefully trying to make it disappear into the right middle. Could have positioned himself nicer for this one, to be fair. But still should do the job at the starting point here. Just carefully find his way. Well, he didn't try to do it carefully there. Alan certainly put a lot of conviction into the fact of him playing that shot well enough so that he wasn't going to sort of leave that red over the pocket. He played that one with so much power. And in the end, even though he's missed that red and Trump is going to be coming back to the table, he's going to be coming to absolutely no chance at all. And it's still going to be an opportunity for Trump to find a safety shot. Probably nothing more out of it, though, that he'll be able to squeeze. And he didn't even play a good safety shot either, because, you know, he didn't get the good purchase on the cue ball in terms of that's going to be quite far away from the ball cushion. And now Alan's going to have a little bit of a wander around the table to see what's going to happen at the left side of it. Because technically you feel like, you know, the four reds that are going to be forming a bit of a rectangle next to the pink spot. He's got one more loose red right next to it. So on the right side, probably suggest try and take that cue ball towards the right part of the table. But this is going to be a really risky shot there for him to be taking. And at the same time, it may not actually have any dividends for him to play as well. I mean, I was the one that said he should be playing that shot, so I can't say anything bad about it, because he's played that one absolutely perfectly, and he still left out a chance away to Trump. So let's see. Very similar to the one that he's overcut previously. Can he try and make this one stick into the right corner? He's tried to power his way through, and he hasn't managed to do that. And he's left the red over the left middle, as Barry Hawkins and Un-Nooh are walking their way back onto table number 2. It seems like it's only going to get worse from Trump from here. And right now, it is only going to get better for either one of Un-Nooh and Barry Hawkins. For now, it is going to be Barry to try and do something about this one, because Un-Nooh had a decent break-off shot, manages to use that yellow to be a cover point for the left-hand side of those reds. But at the same time, it doesn't actually feel like he's going to have loads of room there for a maneuver, which means Barry can either try and go for the red to be taken into the right part of the table, which is not an easy one, but it's not even down to the pot success that he needs to be worried about. It's going to be down to making sure there is going to be enough space for that cue ball to go past the black, and at the same time not compromise himself too much on the actual angle that he has, and find that cue ball to be travelling the right amount of speed and distance. And yeah, seems to have managed to play this one pretty well. Back to Un-Nooh goes. So he's always going to leave this red away into the left corner, but can Un-Nooh actually take it? It's going to be far from an easy one, but look at that. I mean, if there wasn't going to be any sort of suggestion that Un-Nooh may lose his incredible skill of coming back from an intermission and playing the best part of his game, then he's certainly going to be able to shut down the haters there. Brilliant long raids. And look at that for the massive lead that he got on the cue ball as well. A huge cannon of the black ball cushion. And now getting that cue ball to go all the way. Lines up for the brown. And about to get himself lined up for an easy part of the job. Some fantastic shots there flying in from Un-Nooh. Now, can he try and find a little bit of consistency? The only thing that has been missing for him, you know, unforced errors have been there, but at the same time, you have to say it's all been just adding up to each other. A bit of a bad positional shot, the wrong decision on the which red or which color to be taking on, and at the same time, you always had the opportunity of Barry Hawkins being able to come back to the arena and to play some of his best snooker as well. So now 11 points of the advantage here for Un-Nooh. Let's see if he's going to have a chance to try and get through to this red, to try and take it into the right part of the table. Very carefully trying to take that cue ball all the way towards the left side cushion, and to make sure he got that cue ball to be lined up far away there and position on the right side of the blue as well, which certainly will help his case as well. And Yeah, if he's going to have a good opportunity to be spraying those reds away from each other, then he probably needs to wait for a couple of more shots there. He had the angle to be doing that, but it feels like he's played a really bad shot there. Well, he got himself to be stuck in the mix of two choices there to be made. And in the end, it seems like he didn't make the right one on either one of those occasions, because he didn't send the cue ball to be heading into those reds. He tried to hold it back, but the angle wasn't there. And at the same time, now he's going to get himself lined up for a bit of a difficult end to this frame here, in terms of trying to continue on the break. And yeah, just having to find a safety shot after all of that. Getting that cue ball to be positioned on the ball cushion here. Once again, played the safety pretty well there, Chipchaya. And it's now going to be Barry that has got the cue ball pretty much in the middle of the table there. And about as close to the ball cushion as he possibly can get. Oh, he's taking a really difficult safety shot there from Barry. Let's see how much of the leeway he's actually going to get on this one. And the answer is a lot there, because he didn't get anywhere near the thin cut of that red, but he clearly didn't get too much of it so that he would bounce his way onto the top end of the table. And he's certainly not going to have any of those chances to be given away to Chipchaya either. Now just make sure the bounce is going to be absorbed there by the green quite nicely. And the cue ball is now going to find its way nicely alongside the D line there. The top edge of it, I should say. And Barry is going to come back to the table with no real clear-cut chance, I would say, with a long shot. But it hasn't stopped either one of the players previously. And it's certainly not going to stop Barry Hawkins now. A brilliant red that he's managed to take into the left corner. Now, the question is it going to be a difficult snooker, or is it going to be a chance for him to try and take the green into the yellow pocket? Well, Barry is going to be an attacking player, but probably needs to realise that this is not going to be a battle for this frame. This is going to be all about the way that the rest of the second mini session is going to go. 16 points of the advantage right now in favour of Chipchaya. And yeah, to be fair, I thought he was going to try and do a snooker there, because I thought that the contact pointing between the cue ball with green and the ball cushion is going to be significant enough for that cue ball to be planted in there. That wasn't the case. So Barry had to just settle for a decent safety shot, which just shows how bad the position on the green was. Because there's no way that if there was a chance for him to be taking that green into the yellow pocket and getting that cue ball to cannon all the way down the table at the same time, he would have been taken to just settle for sort of mid-range safety shot for him to be played. For now, about to take another red towards the right middle. Make sure you take that on very carefully so you don't get too close to those jaws. And so whatever it is, it seems like he's going to leave the table very disappointed there. Yeah, he seems like he's left two sides of those reds to be available there. He's going to have the left-hand side available there for Chipchaya to be taken into the left middle respectively. The same thing is going to happen with the right middle as well. So Chipchaya now is going to study, by the way, the way back for you onto the top end of the table is not going to work out at all. As we'll still see, it is going to be, by the way, it's still battle for the third frame there in the match of Trump against Mark Cullen. Trump finds himself 20 points behind, but 35 points on the table. Now Chipchaya has got a really tough red to be taken into the right middle. Is he going to be able to take it? Yes, he does. Take that one away. He seems to have a bit of a nervous look towards the brown there, as the cue ball was bound to be left too close to the red there at the same time, but it seems like he is going to be able to find his way on towards the green. And no, as I said, either one of those two players had to step up. There was always an option of both of them trying to play the best game at the same time. It hasn't been the case so far. And now the cue ball is about to travel a bit more miles there on the table. The brown is about to be respotted as well. And it's going to be all down to just trying to take the brown into the yellow pocket. Then the cue ball is probably going to be left on for one more shot there at the top end of the table. But Chipchaya thinks otherwise. Whether it was intentional, that he wants that red to be as a backup point later on in the frame. But you feel like if you travel down the table there, you're not really going to be coming back up there once again, because that was the reason why that red into the middle was so important, because it looks like he's going to have at least 4 of those reds with difficulty mode easy there. Lines up after the black that he's about to take. He's got 33 points of the advantage as well. So it does look like Chipchai is about to find himself ahead in this match for the second time there. Ever since winning the first frame, losing out at the frames number 2 and 3, able to come back at the end of the first mini session with a century break. And this one is certainly going to be a lot more difficult for him to achieve because, as I say, even if he's going to be able to stop here on the break of 25 points, it's still going to mean about as much as making a century break previously. But at the same time, as I say, you always take those opportunities as they come. And for now, seems like he was able to do everything that he needed to. And the 15 minutes of an intermission break certainly taken a little bit out of his game. But now he's going to be coming back all the way there to the top end of the table. So clearly leaving that red next to the green and the right middle was intentional. And you feel like he has got the angle to be playing that cue ball in behind of the red, to be taking that one an easier route in towards the left middle, instead of having to find the perfect positional shot underneath that red and worry about having to play the ball colours as well. He's now going to try and find that cue ball to go all the way for the black, although I have to say, he played a bad shot there. He's going to have to try and reach over the red. And, well, you could see that one coming. He's missed the black off the spot. And you feel like the previous shot that he's played on the red was probably good enough. But the pink and the blue to be in the way of each other, there was always going to be the point of you either try and hold that cue ball for the ball colours, which was not an easy task to be fair, or you try and take that cue ball all the way for the black there, which was the thing that Chipchai decided to try and go for. It hasn't worked out. Now it's going to be down to Barry to try and take the red away into the left part of the table. But this is going to be not the best introductory shot that you can dream about. And it seems like he's going to leave just about the perfect shots for Chipchai to get himself started. Because if my angles of the eye are correct, there is going to be the fine corridor in between the cue ball, yellow and the brown. And Chipchai is not even thinking about other options. Once again, very cheap getaway there from Chipchai, because you take that red away, yes, there's going to be a cluster of 3 more reds that you need to work with, but they're right in the middle of the table. And you feel like whether it would have been from the black, from the blue, from the pink, certainly would have been a real chance there for Barry to try and make it another steal there for him. And get it a 3-2 of a deficit. In the end, it is going to be now a 3-2 of an advantage, very much in the making there for Chipchai, if he's going to be able to take one more red away. And he seems to have underrun for the red to the left middle. So whether he's got the chance to be taking one of those reds of the 3 cluster there into the left corner, because he has, I mean, that's going to rub the salt in the wounds badly there for Hawkins, because that is basically going to be like, if you take that red with a colour, you win the frame. And Barry wasn't able to do so. Now, the red is going to disappear. So that was indeed the case. Wow, that's going to hurt for Barry. And remember, frame number 5 certainly was there for the taking for Chipchai at the start of it. Wasn't able to take the black away after running himself a little loose on that one. And now he's certainly going to be able to, from there, be able to accomplish the mission there from the second chance. And get himself lined up with a break of 13 points, but ultimately 59 points with the advantage. 51 at the table here. So just make sure that cue ball is going to get passed all the way towards the left side cushion. And get himself lined up once again for the black to be taken into the right part of the table here. It felt like if either one of those reds is not going to be possible into the left corner, which is not the case anyway, but you could have tried to hold the cue ball back there to be playing the shot into the right middle. That wasn't the case either, so clearly either one of them is going to be playable. And the first one was taken into the left corner. It looks like he's going to run himself awkwardly on the black and force the last red to be positioned onto the right side cushion. So it takes the black nicely. And it's now all going to be down to taking the red along the side cushion carefully, with the cue ball still having a decent chance to be planted for the black for one last time. But it's now going to be the end of a break there. 29 points, and in the end 329 there. That Un-Nooh is able to score to 144 that Barry Hawkins has been scoring previously. It does tell you the story of the match so far. when Barry Hawkins gets himself into the frame winning mentality, he's able to win it. When he doesn't do that, he loses with scoring 2 or 1 points in total there per frame. Now then, the 5th frame is finished. And let's see if the 3rd frame is finally going to be finished in the match of Mark Allen and Jock Trump. And it's still not going to be finished at all because Trump is about to go for a really difficult long shot. He needs a total clearance. He hammers that green out of the pocket, but it's still going to run safe. And I have to say, this is exactly why I didn't want to do Jock Trump against Mark Allen. Honestly, hand on heart, 3 frames, 90 minutes, for me, no thank you. I know this is world number 1, but like this is just not quite anywhere near as, let's put it nicely, it's not anywhere near as enjoyable as it is watching Un-Nooh and Barry Hawkins. Yes, there might be a little bit of a battle in there, a little bit of drama, but you can't say the quality of play has been great either because of so many mistakes. Allen not being able to get himself over the line in this frame, Trump doing the same in frames number 1 and 2. This is exactly why, you know, sometimes the underdogs of Barry Hawkins and Un-Nooh can actually provide you with more entertainment of the match. And keep going up. Well, he certainly seems to be going the right way there. By the way, thank you for everyone that has been tuning in. Feel free to hit the like on the stream and subscribe to the channel. For now, it certainly has been a very entertaining party there for us to be seeing. And let's see which way is he going to finish there at the end. Is he going to be Barry Hawkins to try and step up his game? Or is he going to be all down to Un-Nooh to try and take it to a whole new level? And you never know, maybe for the first time in this match, we are going to see one of those players to win 3 frames on the bounce. In the meantime, Barry's about to step back to the table. And the cue ball is about to separate those reds away from each other. The white is going to be sent towards the green pocket there. Played their shot pretty well there, Barry. And now he's going to be giving the turn back to Un-Nooh here. Seems like he is going to have a chance to be taking this red along the side rail. He's had that trademark shot very much against Ronnie O'Sullivan, which he was able to use so many times. But, you know, on that particular occasion, he was playing super well. I wouldn't really be going for a shot like that right now. There was no need for it. There was no need for that shot there from Un-Nooh. And now, Barry's going to have the same red. Of course, he's going to go through all the length of the table. He's going to finish perfectly over the right middle. Opportunistic there is the word from Un-Nooh. But once again, that's what keeps the game open. And, well, Barry can't string anything together, and he's going to leave this red on the plate. Sometimes he's just not meant to be there, and Un-Nooh is going to be looking at a 5-3 of a deficit at least in his favour. I tell you what, if it's going to be a draw there, Hawkins is going to be absolutely smiling there, about as wide as the smile can go on your face, because he doesn't deserve it now. There may still be a massive step up, but for now, you do have to wonder how this is 3-2. Yes, Un-Nooh has not been playing brilliantly, but if you look at the Horace break, you look at the total points scored, and you look at purely the eye test, Un-Nooh just seems to be getting those opportunities all the time. And it is going to be another matter why he's not been able to sort of finish them all off, but at the same time, he's certainly getting the better of Barry Hawkins right now. In the news, are not going to get any better there for Barry, because the pink, although he can't go back on its own spot, he certainly can go onto the spot of the black there. And yeah, the black itself can go onto the green spot, which was very much the colour that Barry has come in the way in his unsuccessful attempt to be trying to get that cue ball away from the red. And in the end, once again, this is exactly the reason why the scoreline is only 3-2, because Un-Nooh is going to be able to take the pink away into the left corner, and he even makes that one in. But a horrible positional shot, something that you very rarely say about Un-Nooh, is going to mean that he is going to have to try and find his luck another day, literally, and ultimately waiting for another opportunity there for Barry Hawkins to be stepping back to the table. Once again, it is extraordinary to me the way that you see those mistakes to go unpunished there from both of the players really, but especially from Un-Nooh. He's been having so many of those opportunities, and he may have another one. It depends on how much of this red Un-Nooh can see there, but the previous shot that he's played towards the pink and the black has actually managed to compromise both of those colours quite massively there. So we'll have to wait and see on if either Chipchaya or Barry are going to be able to find themselves to try and play those shots through the blue. For now, he's trying to take the red into the left corner, and well, is he going to have another fluke? He won't, but it's now going to be Barry Hawkins' time to shine. Still, it is absolutely incredible that he's actually going to be the favourite for this frame here, starting at this point onwards, because of the way that Chipchaya managed to get those cue ball to be heading into those reds, spread them across the table, and now position himself pretty nicely to be heading back to his seat. Barry's going to hammer that red towards the left middle, playing that shot pretty nicely, although he could have done with getting that cue ball slightly closer to the blue, but he was always going to be the problem. Clearly wasn't confident enough with trying to just roll that red with sort of no pace at all. And yeah, making sure that cue ball is going to find its way nicely towards those reds to be positioned for at least one of them to be taken. Seems like he's managed to do that pretty well. And yeah, just carefully getting himself lined up for the red to be taken here into the left part of the table. That's the one that Chipchaya could have fluked into the left corner, didn't. And now he needs to be taking that one super thin on the edge. And he's actually overplayed that one, fair play. Because if anything, Barry was going to be scared of being on the wrong side of the blue. In the end, he's played that with so much of the angle that he's going to have himself positioned on the yellow now, instead of playing for the blue. Yeah, he seems like he's going to be stuck in between the two of them. But he seems like he's going to give the benefit of the doubt towards the cheapest of those colours. So now just carefully take that cue ball away. Make sure the yellow is going to find the back of the pocket, and still that cue ball should have enough targets there for you not to be worried too much about the positional play in normal circumstances. But now it is going to be all down to every single one of those shots, especially for the red, has to be perfect, because pink and black not being available. I mean, he may have the black available into the left part of the table there from this camera angle, and it's exactly what he's played for. Well, this is going to take a turn there in favour of Barry Hawkins massively, because it was always going to be down to the whole struggle point, was always going to be down to him not having the ability to be playing those shots with expensive colours. Now, he's got that issue to be sorted. He's about to respot the black onto the pink spot, and which is going to be free of any reds and any danger. And certainly going to have loads of open space there for that cue ball to travel. So this is now going to turn very interesting indeed there in favour of Barry, because he's not going to be shying those reds. He's got 4 points of the advantage. He's now about to have the most expensive of the colours to be positioned about as good as he can get for him. This is going to be brilliant stuff there for Barry. So what's he going to be in relation to the black here? Can he try and take that one all the way? Yes, he can. So just carefully managing to find his way all the way there, and having to switch the pocket selection to the left middle. But it's probably going to be the only thing that is going to unsteady the ship slightly, and also give him the chance to play for the blue here, which is always nice when you've got the option, because it gives you more room for a maneuver. Because, you know, if he was playing for the black, he needed to take all that pace away from the cue ball, which sometimes, you know, can give a bit of a percentage risk there in relation to how many of those reds are you actually going to make there, and how many of them are you going to miss. At the same time, that wasn't really the case, and now he's able to find himself just carefully playing that blue into the right middle and positioning himself nicely for a 17 points of a cushion. About to take another red into the left part of the table, making sure that cue was going to be played through the black, and getting himself lined up for the most expensive of those colours to be taken. The first time we are going to see the break of 32 points there from Barry Hawkins, making that 39 since the third frame there as well. And he's about to take another red into the right part of the table. Having to bridge over another red doesn't really help the case there, but at the same time, at least it gives him the opportunity to be taking that cue ball all the way towards the right side of the table, and make sure he gets himself lined up with 26 points of a difference. Make sure that black is going to be played into the left corner of the table, but this time around he doesn't need to be compromised by those reds even more. Well, that seems to be the story here. 33 points of the advantage, and now probably the first real test is about to come his way, because it's not just going to be down to potting this red, which is going to be a mission difficult as it is. Also, he needs to be holding that cue ball back of any extra pace there that he's about to be injected onto the white, so that he gets himself about as straight as he can be on the black to be positioned for the left middle, just to make his life a little bit easier and take another step towards making it back onto the score draw and take it into 1 frame each, 2 frames each, and now 3 frames each after the first 6 frames to be played. For now, that's not quite going to be the case, and he still finds himself with 42 points of a difference. So technically, you could see Chipchaya coming back all the way there and find himself to be making a total clearance at this stage. This is about not to be possible there, because Barry is going to get himself lined up for a frame ball after this raid, because the red will get him into 50 points of an advantage, and then any colour after that one will make sure that Chipchaya is going to need at least a snooker to find himself back to the table. So then, I said this match is going to be close, and he certainly has delivered up to this point so far, and he's about to get himself another twist there, it would seem, in favour of Barry Hawkins this time, because he has found himself on the wrong foot throughout the last couple of frames, and now he's certainly been able to respond with a really solid break there. The break of 72 points got him the first frame on the board, and he's now about to get a break of 72 points and counting in the frame number 6, and get himself lined up with a really nice ending to the first session of the match here. About to be on the horizon. Still 2 more guaranteed off frames that we are going to be seeing. And you are going to have the black to be taken here into the right corner. So very carefully, make sure if you are going to be going for that century break, you're going to have to try and take the reds into the right corner. And also, make sure you make contact with the red next to the pink as well. So this is going to be a very careful shot that he needs to be taking there along the black ball cushion, but at the same time, it's not really going to work out too well for him. And the referee is going to be putting those reds all the way back to the end there. And it is a break of 79 points, which gets Barry Hawkins the frame that he would have been looking for ever since the 2-1 of the advantage that he had. And now, this is going to allow him to be getting this one as to a really good chance. And, well, Barry Hawkins and Un-Nooh have certainly provided a little bit of a cracker. Let's see how the story of Mark Allen match against Watchalong has unfolded so far. Because the last time we checked, it was 2-0 in favour of Mark Allen. Now, Trump finds himself at the table, and it's now going to be 3-0 in favour of Mark there. So at last, he was able to find himself winning that frame. But once again there, another chance goes missing there from Trump. And he's going to leave that red perfectly over the green pocket. It doesn't seem to get any better for Chud. This is the entertainment. Well, this is what I mean there. I mean, with all the respect, and I've got loads of that for Trump. I've got a little bit of that for Allen as well. But this is not what I really want to be seeing in the first round match. I mean, you could say this is worth watching if it would have been the final. But, I mean, if really, 3 frames that we finished in this match, we finished 6 of those already in the match of Barry Hawkins against Chipchaya, and you can't say that it's been poor quality. Yes, he has on some of those occasions, but at the same time, you can't tell me that Allen and Trump have been playing the game of their lives there. Whenever I turn on table number 1, you can see Trump missing an easy chance, and then Allen not being able to utilize it. There you go. I mean, literally, as I was speaking there, you're playing the shot from the blue, he managed to get those red to spread out, and I'm pretty sure that he's not going to be on anything there. So, once again, 24 plays 23 in favour of Trump. And, I mean, with all the respect, but this is maybe a semi-final that is worth watching, but certainly not in the first round of a match. You know, I like Trump. I know the point there, and it changes the complexion completely when you have got a horse in the race. This is going to be a really different scenario there. By the way, Allen, I mean, he's smiling about it, but Trump is certainly not going to be joining the party of a smile because, you know, Allen just tried to play a safety shot, caught the blue, and still didn't leave anything away there to Trump. So, of course, it changes when you've got someone to support there. If Ronnie was playing in this match against anyone, I mean, I would have been absolutely all over that one. So, I completely understand what you mean there, but, I mean, if you've been watching the match, you're probably going to agree on the fact that this has not been great entertainment there. And in the meantime, the frame 7 is about to get started. Who's going to get the first chance here? And the answer is very simple. The man that has had the break of 79 points in the previous frame, about to strike again. And yeah, just very carefully taking the the green or yellow as a short selection. Brilliant start there for Barry. As much as, once again, it was a bit of a giveaway from Chipchai's point of view. You have to give Barry for taking that chance away. And now getting himself lined up for the yellow. And yeah, just making sure that cue ball is going to find his way down the table, off the left side cushion. Playing that shot pretty well. And now 3 points of the advantage here for Barry Hawkins. Let's see what he's going to be able to do with this one here. It seems like just, well, the black is covered up. The pink may be available into the middle, but why do I have the feeling he's going to try and send that cue ball into the bunch of reds and try and screw this one all the way to the blue. This is what he's played. What a brilliant shot that was from Barry, because I genuinely saw about 100 scenarios where he could have gone wrong there, but this is what momentum can do to you sometimes. 79 points scored in the previous frame. Now, I hope I haven't jinxed him for this brown, and I haven't. Just needs that cue ball to keep rolling, and he's going to be alright there. He's about fine to be positioned for the red into the left corner, so carefully trying to take that one into the left part of the table, get himself positioned for the pink at the same time, and then starting from that point onwards, he should have a really nice line there to be taking that cue ball right into the mix of reds, and just getting himself into a really good opportunity to be taking the points on the board there. This is going to be the most important factor. He seems like he got his game sorted to a decent level, and the best way to try and take it to a whole new level there is going to be by winning a couple more of those. And by the way, I still can't believe that. You know, before that frame, Barry's had such a horrible run there, which is the reason why I'm going to make the statement. I cannot believe Chipchai finds himself being 3-all with a scoreline and still being 15 points down. This is what snooker can do sometimes, you know. Just because you're playing better doesn't mean anything. It's the points on the board and the frames on the board, and that actually means something to you. And Barry's about to certainly prove that for one more time potentially, because if he finds himself to be playing well, he's going to be the most dangerous of probably anyone right now that we're watching. Alan and Chomp clearly are nowhere to be seeing the comfortable style of their play. Chipchai seems like he's drifted off a bit as well. And Barry's now about to hammer that black home. And, well, this is going to be tight. I'm not sure he's going to be positioned for this red, you know. Even if he is, he certainly is going to have to try and make the steps in there for the cue ball, count the cushions, and also the angle for this red and the distance in between the cue ball and the red. He's trying to hold this one back there as well. Clearly says that he's going to be confident, and well, clearly says that he was playing for the pink there to me, because there's no way that he would have been trying to hold that cue ball back there and at the same time trying to make sure that he wasn't going to be positioned for the pink there. So if he plays for the pink, he needs to be getting that cue ball to get stuck in those reds. That was the case. Is he going to get a little bit of luck? No, he won't. Although, he may still have a red to be taken into the right middle. And at this stage, it's not going to be the worst thing that you can sort of think about. So, what's it going to be then? What's it going to be for Barry Hawkins? He's got 30 points of the advantage, which probably at this stage, with, 10 more reds available, it's not really going to get him anywhere, especially with all of them being alongside to being the open play. And neither of them certainly going to be anywhere near cushions, and it's just a couple of those reds to be in the way of each other. But yeah, he's certainly not going to be taking the aventura of the shot into the right middle, and just carefully getting that cue ball to be bouncing off the pink and the reds to be heading towards the ball cushion. So 30 points that he scores, and ever since getting that 3-2 off a cushion there in favour of Chipchai Un-Nooh, Hawkins has managed to score 100 more points there, which is probably equivalent to the points that he scored in the previous 5 of those frames. Now, just very carefully looking at the line that he has there. Surprised that Chipchai is not trying to go for the red to be taken really thin on the edge there, closer to the pink spot. Right now, it would seem like he's trying to get that cue ball to be heading towards the green. And it certainly doesn't seem to be working out there for Chipchaya, and he seems to have lost the footing, trying to play the good of his safety game for now. This is going to be another chance for Barry. Is he going to be able to take it now into the right corner? And he wasn't. Well, I don't know why he's trying to hammer that one home, because he was always going to be leaving that cue ball farther away from the black anyway. So, unless he was straight, then you can't really blame him for that one, because you need to be hammering those shots in. Otherwise, no matter how much spin you add, it's going to be either really difficult for you to make that red in, or sometimes really difficult for you to make sure that cue ball is not going to be heading towards the pocket. But whatever it was, the red stays out, and Chipchaya is going to have a chance here, which is not going to be taken well at all. He's got the red in, which is good news, but that's where the good news are going to end there for him, because he's got the black, the pink, and the blue to be within probably 1 inch of each other. Certainly the black and the pink there, barely a centimetre to separate them. And it's all going to be down if he can see enough of the blue to try and cut this one into the left middle. If he can't, he's going to have to go for a more difficult choice of the brown. Surely he's not taking the yellow on. He doesn't have the angle to be doing that. Well, does he? Can he try and force the incredible shot there of topspin? He seems to have done it there. Brilliant shot there from Chipchaya. And look at that for a position as well. It doesn't get any better than this. And this potentially, once again, can be another one of those turning points. You know, it's like Monaco Grand Prix, the amount of turns that you have. Are we going to have another one? Yes, we will have another one. Just as you talk about a turning point, always risky to be taking a little brush of those reds close to the left middle. And you know what happens? He's taking that red into the corner, but the cue ball has decided to join them and drop itself into the left middle pocket of the table. So just 3 points scored, the bare minimum that he could have achieved there, Chipchaya. And this is now going to be a ball in hand for Barry Hawkins. And, well, surprised that he wasn't able to take that red away. And he's now going to be leaving a long-range shot away to Chipchaya here. But remember, he had the ball in hand. Surely that was the chance for you to be taking that cue ball to the ball colours, which he has done anyway. And get himself lined up for a frame-winning chance. Let's see what's going to happen here. You feel like just a little bit of backspin on the cue ball, but I mean, a little bit of backspin won't really help. He needs to be opening up the gap, which he doesn't really have anything to open there because of how narrow the angle is going to be for him. Because if he opens up the angle for him, he's going to be playing that right into the cushion rather than the pocket. So that's exactly what he was trying there, by the way. You could see what he was doing there, trying to open up the angle so that he was going to have the positional shot on the cue ball on either one of the blue, black or pink. But at the same time, he needed to make that red in. He was close. He wasn't quite close enough to it though. And Barry's now going to have a chance to be taking those reds away from each other. And, well, he got 2 reds to be close to the pockets. But now, can Chipchaya see any one of them? He doesn't look like he can see the one close to the right corner. So it's now down to the shot into the right middle that you can be taking on. But also the angle on the cue ball is going to be horrendous for him. And I always say, you know, on those type of shots, when you play a safety like that, and you keep standing like Barry is, you clearly feel like you are going to be coming back to the table, which feels to me that this red is not going to be possible for him. So, yeah, once again, just another look there towards this red. The worst thing is, because he's got 2 of those reds to be over the pocket, he can't really just take this red away with a cross double unless he gets that cue ball to be perfectly lined up alongside the right side rail. Well, he tried to be clever there, Chipchaya. He's trying to get one of those reds to be played away from the left middle into another red, but he didn't get... It basically was a bit like trying to cut that red in because of how precisely he needed to hit that shot in. At the same time, Barry's now going to have a beautiful chance to finally be ahead in this match once again. 4-3, the advantage being very much there for the taking. Now just needs that cue ball to keep running. I'll tell you what, he's done a bit of a poor job there. Well, the pink is not going to be playable now to me into the middle. So he needs to be taken into the green pocket now. I mean, can he try and cut this one in? The black is going to be right next to the pink to absorb all the power from the cue ball. So this is going to work out in that perspective, but At the same time, the cue ball still needs to be positioned for those reds. Well, that was always going to be the wrong choice for me. I mean, what is happening with this match? As much as you feel like sometimes there are glimpses and there are sort of real moments that are of brilliance from either one of the players, but sometimes you feel like, how on earth are these two the best of the 12 players on the tour there this season? I mean, with all the respect, as I say, he probably came out really rude, but with all the mistake that we've seen, what's it going to be this time? I mean, it creates all sorts of drama there, but you also want to see a bit more consistency from either one of them. You know, you felt like he was Chipchaya, then he was Barry, and you feel like in the reality, there's not really any one of them that has been able to take this match away and dominate the encounter. Now then, talk about from drama perspective then, 24 points the difference, and Chipchaya is going to be very much player at the table here, trying to take the red carefully towards the right corner. He's got 2 more easy reds at the lower end of the table. He's got 1 more at the top end of the table, still very much in the open play. And then it's going to be down to 2 more of those reds to be positioned quite close to each other onto the black ball cushion and potentially forming up a little plan there as well. Way too much of a distance in between those 2 reds, and also they're going to be way too close to the cushion for that plan to be sort of considered taking on there. But whatever it is, Chipchaya says that he needs these reds to be taken for him to be the frame winner here and still be very much on the line for winning the first session. But I mean, it doesn't get any worse than that. Remember the ping that he's missed against Trump in the 10 frame there? This was worse. This probably was twice about as worse there, because he had the red exactly the same type of a shot, only the cue ball was closer to the red and the red was closer to the right corner. He's missed that one. And the good news is he was playing for the black. The bad news is Hawkins may still be able to get through to another red. And, well, I mean, what is happening here? He caught the black in. Hawkins catches the black in, and that's going to give 7 points away to Chipchaya. And, well, if I was Chipchaya there, I genuinely would be laughing and say, yep, that was planned. I knew I was going to leave him in this specific position, and I knew that he was going to touch the black, give me 7 points, and I'm certainly going to be taking those away. But on the serious point, it doesn't look like Chipchaya is going to have anything available, whether there was a miscue or something. Because watching with no audio can sometimes be a little bit difficult. But it doesn't really feel like it, because it just felt like he was trying to use too much of the open space there, which wasn't really there for him. And now, let's have a look at how the table of Allen and Trump is doing. By the way, 22 points with the advantage. So Allen is about to win 4 frames of the bounce there. Chipchaya has to play a safety shot, which is absolutely messed up in terms of the position for the Reds. He's managed to absolutely nail that one in towards the position of the cue ball, which sometimes, you know, minus and a plus equals a minus there. And it is certainly going to be a massive minus for Barry Hawkins, because now, that red being over the pocket, it is basically either you snooker him back and you don't leave that red available, but it is so difficult to be doing because he's got 2 of those reds to be in the way there, but also, and crucially, he's got the green to be positioned in relation to that red. So Hawkins now, if I were him, I genuinely would be thinking about just trying to take the cue ball towards the left side and trying to spot that red, because I genuinely can't see any sort of insurance that he's going to have. He finds himself 9 points clear, which is probably the only good news that he's going to have now. And the worst bit is he doesn't even have an aggressive long shot there that he can just take and say, if I missed it, well, I've tried it, and if I make it, then I am going to be very much the king of the frame. Wow, whatever he's thinking there, he's certainly going to be playing a very dangerous game. For me, he's going to be looking at 2 options, trying to get that cue ball to be lined up alongside the black ball cushion, but that's not going to lead you to anything nice there. And that's exactly what he's done. I mean, another option that I was actually thinking there was to try and play that cue ball across the table of 2 sides of the black ball cushion of the left side, try and get it past the green alongside the pink next to the right side cushion, and then potentially that would have worked out there with the pink and the green being so close to each other. But now he basically positions Chipchaya for a plant here, but with the second of those reds to be so close to the pocket, you feel like This is going to be just a matter of time until Chipchaya takes this one away. Barry is going to be watching this one very nervously indeed. He's got every reason to be doing that, as we now hit 2 hours since the match has started. And now, well, I've got no confirmation, but 2 hours, by the way. The 4 frames of the match of Mark Cullen and Jump are about to be over. Well, this was a bad shot that he's played there. And after all that, I mean, that was a little bit of a desperate shot from Barry, but it's worked out. I was saying this is ridiculous for you to be planting that cue ball to be with a long red plan there, but still, it's worked out, and now he finds himself with a red over the pocket, which is impossible to miss. And it's going to be all down to just guiding that cue ball for the black or the blue. He decided to go for the blue, and that clearly was the right shot for him to be played. The good thing for Barry is he's going to have 10 points clear of Chipchaya there in relation to who's going to be clear on trying to find himself with a path to be winning the frame there. Now he's going to be 15 points clear, so he doesn't need every single one of those raids, especially the one that he was the player to put onto the side cushion, although he could have done without placing that cue ball to be put over the yellow. We've seen those shots miss before. We're not going to see one miss now, though. Well played there by Barry. And now he's going to be getting himself into the most dangerous part of the task there ahead of himself. So is it going to be the brown or the pink that he's about to take? He's trying to take the brown, doesn't want that cue ball to be straight on the raid. And he seems like he's managed to get the angle that he was looking for. So it seems like it is going to be a little bit tight there in relation to him actually needing that raid. He's about to get it. Well, he needs both of those raids to be taken with the black here, ideally, because he's now finds himself 20 points clear, 51 at the table. About to make a 43 there. He's done that. So now he's got a chance to be taking the pink into the green pocket. Many thanks for all that. Yes, appreciate for every single one of you to be tuning into the stream and hitting the like button on the stream. So just very carefully making sure that cue ball was going to be past the blue. Get himself lined up for that raid. Still, I would be disappointed if I was Barry there. The fact that he wasn't committed to be trying to finish off the frame here. Because he's not going to have the upper hand here to an extent which will allow him to be basically ignoring that raid by the left side, where there is going to be 35 or 34 points of the advantage. He's trying to play for the black here, so he technically could still be lined up for a decent ending to it. Because if it's going to be 35 points that he's got the lead off, yes, it's not ideal. And it leaves that room for Chipchaya making a break of 35 points at the end, which we've seen happen before. Not sure if we've seen that against Barry, though. And he now finds himself in a very interesting position there. Can he try and take this black away? He can. Now, that leaves him with 35 points exactly as the advantage. And 35 points exactly at the table here. So, what's it going to be then? Is he going to try and cross double this one into the right middle? You feel like he may as well. Because for me, the angle probably just about allows to be doing that without... Yeah, he's going to be adding a little bit of backspin, so I may actually suggest that he is actually doing that. Just needs to avoid the double kiss. Well, I thought he was going to allow him to avoid the double kiss. And in the end, he is going to be really fortunate there to be getting a snooker. And, well, it's a little bit of a payback from what we've seen in the second frame in favour of Chipchaya when he had that massive fluke on the brown. Or he was the second frame or the first one, I can't quite remember, but in the end, Chipchaya finds himself in a really difficult position here. Is he going to be hitting hope? It is going to, well, it's not really going to be hitting hope, but it may as well have been. Now that cue ball needs to be planted perfectly onto the black ball cushion. He won't be. Now Barry has got the chance to try and take this raid into the right middle, and this is going to bring out the end of the frame, and therefore guarantee that Barry is somehow, despite being so close to being 4-2 down, he's not going to be leaving the first session with a defeat there. And the prediction of a 4-0 draw from me is still going to be very much in the equation. He takes the red into the middle, and I'm not sure there is going to be any point of Chipchaya continuing the equation here. As long as the cue ball doesn't find itself towards the left corner, he misses the brown, and Chipchaya is certainly not going to try and find 3 snookers without and availability of a free ball, it is going to be Barry Hawkins' story to be written. He wins 2 frames on the bounce, and he finds himself now with a 4-3 of the advantage. And Chipchaya now has got it all to do. Otherwise, he's going to find himself being 5-3 down ahead of the second session, and find him with a little bit of work to do. Incredibly, once again, we could finish this match of the first session before Watchalong and Mark Allen return from the intermission of a break there. By the way, thank you for everyone that has been tuning into the stream. Feel free to hit the like on it and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for everyone that has been watching. And yeah, feel free to be tuning in to the same time next day, tomorrow, and we will be back for the second session. Whatever happens in the last frame, which should be the last frame, as far as I've read the regulations, it is going to be 8 frames in the first session and up to 11 in the second one, which is going to be a little bit different to what we've seen in the previous couple of tournaments there, especially if you talk about the World Open. Well, we've seen Chipchaya and Ronnie have played the first session of 9 frames there. So then what's he going to be? The referee's about to announce it. Well, we can't really announce it before Barry makes his way back onto the arena. And which channel is the big broadcaster? I don't really know. I feel like it's on channel 5. It should be on well, it certainly is going to be on WSTV Play there, but Eurosport in Europe, and I'm pretty sure it is going to be on channel 5, but it also depends on which match you want to be watching there. If you want to be watching Watchalong against Mark Allen, that's going to be on channel 5. I feel like Barry Hawkins and Chipchaya is going to be a bit of a different story there. So this is going to be all down to this one. The referee's going to have a look at something, whether it's going to be the regulations for the time or not. We have to wait and see. And only 1 out of the 4 players is going to be in the arena. It's going to be Chipchaya. Of course, the other 2 of Mark Allen and Watchalong are on the intermission. And Barry's still looking to find his way out of a bathroom break. So then what's he going to be there? A 5-3 of a win or 4-all of a draw there for either one of the players. Barry's now making his way back onto the arena. Let's have a listen. It should be the last frame of the session. So what's he... And it is going to be the final frame of the session. So it is now going to be all or nothing for Chipchaya in relation to this particular session. Can he try and come back with a flourish, or is it going to be all down to him not really having the final say there? Not at home, so I cannot confirm about Eurosport. Yeah, like, the reason why I said is that they had the schedule for it on social media released, and they always say that it's going to be streamed on this channel. And obviously, the only ones that I'm going to know, apart from the ones in the UK, is going to be the Eurosport. And yeah, Chipchaya seems to have thrown all the caution out of the wind, and he's just going to be trying to go for everything that is moving, which sometimes can work out, sometimes it won't. The red that he's trying to take along the right side rail, once again, has cannoned away. Good news for him. He's managed to get that one somewhat safe, and certainly in the lower end of the main bunch here. And Hawkins is going to try and find that cue ball to be heading all the way towards the ball colours. And now going to have himself positioned in behind the yellow here. So now Chipchaya is going to have an opportunity to be getting himself back in the battle. Clearly had an early chance there. Well, you can see there the reaction and the body language clearly suggesting that he knows that he's not playing well, but whatever it is, he clearly can't do anything about it. Well, to be fair, you're not really going to give him credit for that, because he got that cue ball to be way too close to the jaws, and in the end, you know, the pace would have been very different and the line would have been very different, but he did manage to get that cue ball on the ball cushion to be perfectly positioned, and that was the exact thing why Barry has missed that red to be taken into the right corner. Seems like he's managed to get away with this one as well. It's going to be the top of those reds available that Chipchaya can potentially try and cut into the left corner. Whether that's going to be an available option or he's going to have to try and make more of those reds to be in the open play remains to be seen. And just trying to give it a careful nudge there. The cue ball is going to be heading all that way towards the ball cushion here. And Barry's going to have an opportunity to be taking those reds from the left side cushion. A straightforward double. Make sure he, hopefully for himself, don't get these reds to be with too much of a heavy contact. And therefore put the pink out of position, because both of the players will need that one. Especially with the black being out of position right now. But even if he was to go back on his spot, the left corner is going to be covered up with numerous reds to be in the way. Chipchaya clearly realizes that and takes one of those reds away from a potential path to the black there. So it is going to be the, making sure you don't play the passive safety shots and you still try and play those ones with a little bit of the intent. It feels like Barry is going to about to follow the example, and this is really nice touch there from both of the players, whether it was intentional or not, but the outcome is the black would have been positioned horribly into the left corner. 2 shots played, each one of them has taken a red, and now all of a sudden you put the black onto its own spot and he's going to be playable comfortably into both left and right corner. So this is something that you want to see. Really aggressive shot there from Chipchaya, and he seems to like, is he going to pay the price? Is the yellow going to be in the way? He will be in the way, At least it looks like it will be. He got too much of the contact on one of those reds. Got that one to be heading all the way to the top end of the table, but with the cue ball still being firm, close to the ball cushion, and also having the yellow as a potential backup. It seems like Hawkins is going to have to try, and but what can he actually do here? He can't leave that red so close to the left middle unless he guarantees that he is going to be getting the cover of the cue ball. I wouldn't be surprised if he just tries to roll that cue ball towards the black ball cushion there, because it seems like he's going to have numerous reds to be in the way of each other. Well, in the end, he's just trying to play that red towards the black ball cushion. Smart. A little bit disappointing from Chipchaya's point of view, because ideally you always wanted to see a couple of those reds to be in the open play, so that those specific shots are not going to be available for you to try and play. And now, is he going to be a shot that he tries to take along the side cushion? That was opportunistic. Now, is he going to be a fluke coming into the middle? That is certainly going to be the case. And I'm not sure why there was a bit of a delayed reaction there from Joe. I thought he was going to report for a foul there to the referee, but he wasn't. The hand of apology goes up. Hawkins is not going to care one bit, because remember, what did I say about the black being available? The reds are going to be positioned awkwardly, but still, you can try and get a couple of them to be heading the right way for you. And yeah, Hawkins can't really be disappointed with a 4-all of a score at the end of this session, but he's certainly not going to be happy if Chipchaya is to go on and win the frame, although he seems to do anything but that. Horrible shot once again on the blue. It's the second time that I've noticed he's played the shot from the blue, that he had the angle to try and potentially get that cue ball to be heading either firm into the bunch or try and hold back with it, use a little bit of side spin and bounce away from the ball cushion to get himself the outcome that he wants. And he plays exactly in the middle, no power, no angle, get that cue ball to be into the sort of the pack of the reds. Now he's got the chance to be taking the red into the middle, but I mean, this is going to be anything but easy. It seems like he's just about got it. Wow, that was risky, but it was good. It was good only because he made that one in. So still, there was no need to be making that life so difficult for himself. But also, it's not a red that he gained, it's a red that he's lost. Because the red that was right next to the one that he's just posted into the middle has just been bounced away to the left side cushion. And yeah, Chipchaya is really struggling now. I mean, I know I've said Barry's been struggling, but he hasn't been struggling to this extent there, because for him to have a straight line shot of the pink into the right middle and not being able to get anywhere near it, and it may have actually been just trying to do something with the cue ball there, because even though he's done that, he hasn't left anything away to Barry once again. I said the position might be promising, but you need a couple of those reds to be in the open play to get yourself started with. And still, it's a really nice shot there from Barry, because he manages to pour a 50-50 of a battle straight away, 60-40 to his advantage. And he seems to have played this one just about well enough so that he leaves a chance to Barry, but it's not going to be the one that you classified as easy, and it's certainly going to be missable. Whether it is about to be taken into the right middle or the green pocket, and yeah, probably the right approach there by Barry, because the shot has no value if you take it into the green pocket, so you must be taking that one into the right middle, and at the same time, you need to be controlling that cue ball super well so you don't catch any more of those reds. Basically, there's a lot more that you can lose after taking that shot than you can gain, and that's always going to be a sign for you to just play a safety shot. And once again, he's played that one pretty well, especially on the cue ball's point of view, leaving one of those reds to be available for Chipchaya, but because he's got so many of those reds to try and play towards the right side, Barry's just knocking on the door to make sure, potentially, there is going to be at least one of those reds that Chipchaya leaves. That wasn't the case here, but it certainly was the attempt that was worth taking on there for him. So Barry now has got a straightforward option of a cross double that he can try and take that cue ball along the side rail. Ooh, horrible shot there. Wow, really badly played there, but Barry caught that control horribly wrong. He touched the... I'm not even sure if there was a judgment mistake there, because that cue ball was heading nowhere near the open space line and caught one of those reds pretty much fully in the face. That takes all that power away from the cue ball and leaves it very much available with... at the same time, the players have actually managed to separate those reds away from each other, but at the same time, as I say, now we've got the good old issue of the colour spots being taken. Not sure if the pink spot is, but the black spot certainly is not going to have any usage right now. The pink seems like it is going to be respotted. That changes things though, because if you're going to have the pink, the blue and the bold colours, that leaves you with 80% of those colours being available, and the black still being in the open play there as a one-off shot that you can take before it goes into the middle of nowhere, and literally in the middle of the red dot there, like the one you got in Jupiter. But very carefully, make sure you take this pink without repeating the same thing that's happening to the previous time that he was at the table during the same frame here. He got himself a break off 21 points as well. Carefully taking the red into the left part of the table. Ooh, I mean, that was a bad shot there. It may not look like a bad shot, but it is to me. He is going to be... No wonder he's looking for a red into the left corner. Basically, he's played the red with basic... Well, with basic cue ball control. But there clearly wasn't enough of the power. By the way, the 5th frame is about to start in the match of Mark Cullen against Watchalong. And yeah, the 8th frame may be about to finish there in between Un-Nooh and Barry Hawkins. But the problem for Chipchaya, he's still positioned perfectly for the pink, but he doesn't have the angle to be positioning himself for those reds, and he may even have the wrong sides of the pink, which will make it even more of a difficult job. And he was forced to be taking an evasive action, and this is going to be the shot of the tournament by a long distance. It is difficult to put into words how difficult that was to execute. The spin that he was able to put on that cue ball, hammered that pink into the middle, used the entire left side cushion, right side cushion to be getting that bounce as a massive bit of force there for the cue ball. Managed to spread those reds away from each other perfectly well, and he's got 4 of those available ahead of himself on the plate. Thank you very much. That is why you never write off Un-Nooh there. No matter how well, no matter how badly he's playing, he's always going to have those moments and those shots like that. Wow, that was brilliant. And these ones are the reason why he's going to be playing in the Tour Championship, and why he was able to defeat the world number 1 and Ronnie O'Sullivan. Now, is he going to be able to perform the magic again? He seems to have done enough there, just about to be positioned on the pink, but it's going to be far from ideal. He clearly felt there was one more shot that he needed to play to bring more reds into play. Has he overcut the pink? Yes, he has. And is he going to have himself positioned there for Barry? So let's see if there's going to be a touching ball there. So Barry's smiling about it, which to me probably suggests that there is going to be... I mean, this is going to be 1 in a million. So no call there by the referee, so it's not touching. So that's at least some sort of advantage there for Hawkins. But of all the places on the table, like, he's actually managed to get that cue ball super close to the red, which is basically in the pocket now. And I tell you what, even if it's not touching, I'm not going to vouch that it's going to be easy for you to pot that. The problem is, the alternative is taking a really difficult shot into the right corner whilst having that cue ball position perfectly onto the left side rail. Seems like he's committed for that shot into the middle, and he's missed it. I have to say, I'm surprised that he's taken that one on, really. As much as he was disappointing. He may not be disappointed now, though, because, you know, sometimes snooker gods can play this game with a very interesting fashion. You know what's happened there. He's missed the red, and he's managed to snooker Un-Nooh behind the pink for the same red only. He's got all the other reds that he can see, but that will do Barry Hawkins nicely there. At least he's still going to be back in the equation for the frame, unless Un-Nooh decides to go for a long red, which is certainly not going to be beyond the realms of possibility. He's done that time and time again. What's he going to try and do now? He needs a couple of those reds to be taking the pace away from the cue ball. He's done that. So at least he got the whites to be positioned quite close to the black ball cushion. So are we going to see a bit of a rolling backwards and forwards there of the cue ball? I wouldn't be surprised with that, because Hawkins has got no right to be getting that cue ball to the top end of the table. Can he get through to the red into the right corner? Yes, he can. Well, I haven't seen that one. And I thought he was looking at the plan to try and roll that cue ball towards those reds. In the end, there were two reds that were forming a little bit of a gate. I couldn't see that one heading all the way there to the right corner. Hawkins certainly could. And now the only problem is that he finds himself 36 points down and probably needs every single one of those reds for him to be the winner of the frame. And so get himself into a mighty finish of the first session, winning 3 frames on a bounce. And despite having such a good chance to go 4-2 up for Un-Nooh, it could still be never winning the 4th frame really in this session, and finding himself in the position where he is going to be trailing by 5 frames to 3. But if you were him, you certainly wouldn't be talking about trying to do that and focus on the second session in the, well, tomorrow in the afternoon, because now, with the way that this match has gone so far, you feel like there is going to be one more twist in the tail there, and maybe one more mistake incoming there from Hawkins. Of course, there's no wonder that he's trying to make all the easy work of those reds. Now playing this one close to the front jaw without touching it, and that has allowed him to be getting that cue ball and trying to bring it closer towards the black. So now let's see what the white is going to be doing here. Make sure you take all the pace away here off the cue ball, and try and drop it for one of the lower reds, which, I mean, I say try and drop it for it because he clearly had the angle to be doing that, but I am surprised he didn't try and leave that very much until the end, because I thought that was going to be the red for him to try and separate the other 2 reds away. But to be fair, you can understand what he's doing there. He's clearly going to try and do it off the last black, which is going to make more sense, because when you do it from a colour, realistically, you're going to have either one of those 2 reds for you to be positioned for. If you do it from a red and you make a firm contact with the 2 of those reds, the pink being out of position, it's only going to be the black that you can position for. So it's going to be 2 against 1. And also, it's actually the reds that you're playing for that you might get the positional play. In the meantime, Hawkins is about to make it 36 points each after taking another blue into the right middle. So he is going to need both of those 2 reds. He's about to take the last one into the open play, as he does indeed make it 36 points each. So 321 points scored by Barry Hawkins in this session. Total points 405 there for Un-Nooh. Still probably not quite as many as you thought would be enough there, but it's incredible the consistency of Hawkins. You know, whenever he gets himself a chance, he seems to be winning those frames there, and he certainly got himself half a chance here. Got this red with a rest. I have to say, he's a little bit shy of the angle. He needed to be slightly further up the table on the cue ball. Now, this is going to be the shot where he decides what's the scoreline going to be. Play this one well. And, well, I mean, he got a good touch. I'm not going to say he got the good outcome, because he's going to be forced to be taking this red along the black ball cushion. This is now going to be putting him to the test, but also just saying how tight those pockets are actually going to be there. And, you know, the answer is, played that shot pretty well. There was no sign of him touching any of those jaws. And it seems like the first session is going to be heading the way of Barry Hawkins. 9 points of the advantage. The last of those reds is not going to have any more obstacles on his way. And as he takes the black away, it's now going to be 16 points advantage. Listen, it's still far from being game over, especially from what we've seen of Un-Nooh in the World Open. But it is now going to be the advantage to the Welsh Open champion, it would seem. And he finds himself only 3 shots away there from, well, it depends which colour he takes, but he should only be 3 shots away from making it a 5-3 of a win. and indeed winning 3 frames on the bounce when he looked like he was the man that wasn't playing good snooker at all. And Hawkins now has got a bit of a luxury of thinking about which colour to take on, whether it's going to be the brown or the pink. Seems like it's going to settle for the pink at the end of it. And just carefully give it a nudge towards the green pocket. Make sure you don't overscrew the cue ball for that yellow. And now indeed he is going to get himself positioned for the yellow, which will take him 25 points ahead with 25 at the table. And he will need the green to be taken with that as well. But at that point it is going to be game over. Although we could have played this one slightly wider there in terms of the cue ball being quite close with a narrow angle in relation to the green. So just try and carefully nudge the green in. Make sure you're not going to be focused too much on the brown, but this certainly has been the second part of this first session that has belonged to Barry Hawkins there. Despite a minor step up in the 5th frame from Un-Nooh, it certainly has been Barry Hawkins' story in the making, and he certainly had another great chapter that he's managed to add it. Now finds himself with a blue to be taken here, and can still try and make it the highest break of the match for himself. You know, he could try and make it a highest equaling break of 79 if he takes the green, if he takes the pink without taking the black. Says that he got the pink in, and look at that for the positional shot as well. Brilliant breaks of 72, 73, 79, and now 86 to end it with Barry Hawkins and Un-Nooh, and it is going to be advantage to the Englishman. The player from Thailand had a really good start to this match, managed to take himself into an early lead of 1 frame to 0, recovered from being 2-1 down to lead 3 frames to 2, but in the end it was Hawkins that had a massive step up, won 3 frames in the bounce, and he's now going to be a minor favourite to be playing against Neil Robertson in the quarter-final stage. And in the meantime, let's see how the match of Mark Allen and Judd Trump is heading. For now, it seems like it's going to be purely exhibition for Allen, as he tries to find a couple of snookers there, with Trump having 71 points of the advantage. So it does look like the gap is about to be cut in half there. Sorry, not in half, but it's now going to be 4-1 instead of 4-0 there in favour of Mark Allen, which still he's going to have advantage no matter what happens going into the second session. You can very rarely see a world where Trump is going to be able to win 4 frames on the bounce against the consistency of Mark Allen. But anyway, this is going to be the end of the stream there, and thank you very much for everyone that has tuned in. Feel free, there's going to be another match today there, Weezer against Chris Wakelin. The first session is going to start at 7 o'clock today in the evening, but if you are going to be interested in Un-Nooh against Barry Hawkins, 1 o'clock in Manchester tomorrow, same start time as today, feel free to be tuning in, and we'll find out who's going to be the player to be facing Neil Robertson. Is he going to be Un-Nooh, or is he going to be Barry Hawkins to try and take that 5-3 of a lead to be converted to the match win? Thank you very much for everyone that has tuned in. Feel free to hit the like on the stream as you make your way out, and I'll see you soon for more snooker action at the Tour Championship. Stay tuned in.
town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul.
Bye.